Mike Show. Ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, muziki ukata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington D.C. We'll shortly be going live on YouTube, so please call in all your YouTube friends. And please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages at The One Mike Show, and then follow us on Instagram at One Mike Show. We are also taking live calls tonight. The number is 202-683 4570. Press star 5 to speak. I want you to write down that number. It is 202-683 4570. Press star 5 to speak. Now, if you've ever asked yourself, can one person really change a system built on corruption and fear? Tonight's conversation is for you. Our guest, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah, has challenged Kenya's political order with ideas that made headlines and enemies alike. From farming snakes and cultivating weed to hanging corrupt officials, his mission has never been about playing it safe. But beyond the shock value lies a story of resilience, exile, and redemption. Professor Wajackoyah believes that Kenya can rise again if the diaspora takes its rightful place in shaping the future. And tonight, he has a powerful message for night runners, widows, and single mothers. So start dropping your comments below and let us know where you're tuned in from. What city, what state, what country. I can see Melali Chiram watching from Hawaii, and I can see Felista Nduta, very able video editor, tuned in from Mombasa. So asante sana Felista Nduta. I can see Stephen JJ is already tuned in. Kaiser Soze all the way from Toronto, Canada, tuned in. Stephen JJ anasema ndani ya nyumba all the way from Texas. I can also see Dr. Gitawa Irimu all the way from Atlanta, Georgia is tuned in. So we have a house full tonight. Na bila kusahau, napokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari, mleta habari DJ Omoshfire, na tunadunda kule viwanjani na Mika Ojezeke nambari 7 mgongoni akituletea habari za michezo moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro studios. Ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawi. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Karibuni.
Now, let's talk politics.
Now, this hour we'll be talking to Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah, the man who shook Kenya's 2022 elections with bold ideas that made headlines and enemies alike, from farming snakes and legalizing weed to his radical call to hang corrupt officials. He's never played it safe. Professor Wajackoyah joins us to unpack his vision for Kenya's future, the power of the diaspora, and his message to night runners, widows, and single mothers. So stay tuned for that. Please drop a comment below, and of course tell us where you're tuned in, what city, what state, what country. Asanteni sana for tuning in. I can see people are already in, and of course what we're YouTube pia karibuni sana. Karibuni sana. We are also live on YouTube, so please call in all your YouTube friends. I know people were asleep in Kenya, you know, night runners ndio hao, watu ambao wametoka labda mishoni ya Jaba. This is a good plan. This is a good plan before muingie kulala,
wako en route another plan.
Yes, because we have a lot of things that are going to be happening tonight, and I can see people already tuned in on YouTube. We have Puputang 254, Houston, Texas, in the building. Karibu sana Puputang. Anasema wagwan. Gudia 222. Gudia had already tuned in, like I think 24-48 hours. He was ready for Wajackoyah. So karibu sana Gudia. And then I can see Frederick Kasuko, Minnesota, Minneapolis in the building. And then I can see Soy Sessions 2392. Soy Sessions, Orkoyot from Germantown, Maryland. Huu ni jirani wangu, you know. So Soy, tufanye tupatane. We cannot be neighbors na tuonani.
Yeah, that is messed up.
Yes, but Germantown MD tuned in. And then I have Born in 82. Anasema no, who you need the deepest state. So deep state is also tuned in. Deep state wants to know what's going on here. And then I can see Sean Brown is tuned in from Beltsville, Maryland. Karibu sana Sean Brown. And then Goodia is wondering, Night Runner, stay tuned to find out what message Professor Wajackoyah has for Night Runners. And Sean Brown says, just met him some minutes ago somewhere. It was a pleasure meeting you. So already
leakage.
Already he's already meeting people. So yeah, but we're gonna get started right away because we have so much to cover tonight. Now, most Kenyans In a world where politicians promise change every 5 years, but very few ever dare to redefine what that change could truly mean. Our guest tonight, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah, the leader of the Roots Party of Kenya, challenged the entire foundation of Kenya's political culture. Professor Wajackoyah, a man who rose from the streets of Nairobi to the corridors of global academia, he shook Kenya's 2022 elections with ideas that made headlines, sparked memes, and divided opinions all the same. From his call to legalize marijuana or weed, to the farming of snakes for export, and even to the hanging of corrupt government officials in a public square. His mission has never been about comfort. But behind the controversy lies a man of many lives, a lawyer, a scholar, and a survivor shaped by exile and driven by an unrelenting belief that Kenya's rebirth will come from its people and not its politicians. Now, he's here in the United States connecting with the diaspora as his Roots Party of Kenya prepares to field candidates in the upcoming by-election back home in Kenya this month in November. So the big question tonight is Professor Wajackoyah laying the groundwork for a grand 2027 comeback? And could the diaspora be the secret weapon in reshaping Kenya's next political wave? Tonight, we'll go beyond the slogans and soundbites into the man behind the movement, the lessons from his journey, and the vision that forces us to ask, are Kenyans at home and in diaspora truly ready for the change we keep demanding? Ladies and gentlemen, drop your favorite emoji in the comment section and join me in welcoming the man, the myth, and the movement himself, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah. Professor, karibu sana to the One Mic Show. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling very good and I'm really honored.
Okay.
I'm greatly honored to be here. And I don't know what to say, but this is the first time I'm being welcomed by our own Kenyan people.
Okay.
I think you're going to understand me because I've always been misunderstood.
Totally misunderstood, and that's the reason why we're here today. We are here to debunk all that misunderstanding, for people to get that different side of you that they don't understand. Again, welcome to DC. Now, the first question that people are asking here already in the comments is, what brought you to the US, and what's the purpose behind your visit, especially up at DC? Prof. Wajackoyah.
Thank you very much. I'm a resident of the United States, and I'm thankful to my wife. She was the first one who was watching from Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
Millie Chitam.
Okay.
Wherever you are, honey, I love you.
Okay, all the way from Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, I love you. Thank you very much for lifting my spirit.
Okay.
I came here on family business, and I was also invited by the Kenyans in the diaspora, especially the Minnesota. I'm grateful to Hulda. Very grateful to Hulda,
the state representative in
state
Minnesota.
She's a
Yes.
wonderful person. I'm grateful to the Kisii Kenyan community in Minnesota because this is the first time Kenyans have invited me. I think they have understood me, but the rest are still yet to understand me.
Okay, all right. And we're going to get there, Pole Pole, and people will get to understand you. I can also see... Ashley Marda 976. Oh my goodness, these names. Anasema Nairobi, Kenya is watching. Yeah. And then Soy Sessions from Germantown, Anasema welcome Prof. So karibu sana. So people are very excited here. And of course here, not forgetting the people on Facebook, Stephen JJ's ndani ya nyumba. We have Jacob Korir. And as Jacob Korir says, I feel like 2027 will be a special time and will mark an about turn in Kenyan geopolitics. Had Wajackoyah joined Baba, we would be talking a different story at the moment. We need a united opposition. I respect his politics, but compromises are also good to gain a bigger pick. And of course, we're going to be talking about this. And of course, Mika Och is tuned in all the way from Richmond, Virginia. Tutaongea naye hapo baadaye kidogo. And then we have a Jamaican who listens to us from Canada, Afro-Jamaican. He is in love with Kenya. And he's already saying here that Professor Wajackoyah is giving Jamaican vibes. So
I've been there.
Yes, okay, there we go.
I've been to Jamaica, Montego Bay.
Okay.
I brought in Rich's Spice in Kenya.
Oh my goodness.
And I love Jamaica.
Okay, all right, Afro-Jamaican. So now you have a new ally in Prof. Wajackoyah. Now, while still on US matters, before I get to introduce the panel, in every election cycle for the last 20 years, Kenyan presidential hopefuls like yourself, and going back all the way from the late Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, to even Ruto fly out here yet diaspora remains with very few votes. What makes the US such a powerful ground despite the small ballot count? Prof Wajackoyah.
First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to observe a minute of silence for the demise of our father, our grand mafiosi, the late Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, a man who has actually given me the vibe to be strong. So I don't know whether that will be possible, but a minute of silence.
Yes, we can take a couple of seconds of silence in memory of the late Raila Amolo Odinga.
Joey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
You have asked me a question and I will answer you straight away.
Yes.
You've asked about the perennial and in infinitive visitation by presidential candidates and candidates from Kenya to the United States for diaspora. Well, I may not answer on their behalf because I do not know why they visit. But me, I don't visit the diaspora. I live in the diaspora. And I know what the diaspora, the Kenyans in the diaspora mean.
Okay, all right. So that's actually a very good answer. You live in the diaspora, so that's why you come here. So I think it will be a very good question also for the other presidential hopefuls to answer for themselves why they like coming out here. But I think that's a very good answer. And I want to take time to also introduce the very able panel that I have with me tonight. We're going to start right here in the studio with DJ Omosh Fire. DJ Omosh, karibu sana. How are you feeling today, Omosh, and what is your expectation for tonight? DJ Omosh Fire, twende kazi.
Asante. Thanks, Ali. I'm feeling good. Feeling hopeful. I actually have not seen Prof here in a very long... Hey, Prof, it's how many years?
From 2012.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. Imagine.
Yeah.
So we are friends. 19 before the political
Come
stuff.
19 before, come sit 20 before.
Actually, he came on the plane in front of me.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Panam. No, I'm just checking.
No, you
just
said
checking.
you usually said 19 to Ndeketi.
Yeah.
That's what I almost says.
Okay, yeah. But my expectations are that we'll get to know more of the Roots Party, more of the man, the myth, the legend, and why him.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that's good. And before we introduce Mika is also tuned in remotely. Prof, watu wanampenda sana. These comments are coming in thick and fast. There's already someone who's asking, Sadada 2008, when is Prof coming to Boston? So, Sadada, inbox us. Your contact details, will give it to Prof. And that can be figured out because... watu wa Boston wanakuuliza, and that's why this is the people's kamkunji. And then we have Gudia saying, welcome Wajackoyah, just want to know what you will do differently as president. Of course, we're going to be talking about that tonight. And we have Leah K live from Minnesota, karibu sana. We have Abel Ogato. Abel Ogato from Minnesota, karibu sana. And then we have people who already tuned in, and of course we have Kaiser Soze tuned in on Facebook, and we have Odhiambo Madung anasema, I remember early days of East Africa Radio. My goodness, the guy is an excellent debater. East Africa Radio, I don't know whether you guys remember, ilikuwa back in the days of
Denzel Musumba.
Yes, back in the days.
Ali,
Wow.
that thing was called East African Radio.
It was called East Africa Radio. It was Blog Talk Radio.
I'm sorry, I'm calling it that thing.
Yes.
But Patel's station was called...
it was called East Africa Radio. Yeah. So,
Hey,
yeah.
Denzel. Wow.
Yes. That was back in, before there was any of this
Before
equipment
any
we
of
have,
this.
before YouTube
Yes.
and all these things that we have
Yes.
today. It was called
Yes.
Blog Talk Radio. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We're going to go to Mika Och all the way from Richmond, ambaye has been tuning in, alikuwa anashughulika na mambo ya voting in Virginia. Virginia was voting. And of
Alichapa
course,
Forbes.
Yes.
And they voted blue.
Yes, and they voted blue vibaya sana.
All the way.
Yeah, so let's hear from Mika, about that experience voting in Virginia in this non-traditional year and what he expects from tonight. Mika Och, karibu sana na twende kazi. Mika.
Thank you, Ali. And happy Friday to everybody, though. I think one thing we forget to ask each other is, how's your week been? It's been a very
Heavy.
shit. but we move on and we strive. We strive for better. You mentioned the elections. Yes, we had state and local elections in Virginia, and actually, for people who say that elections don't reflect the mood of the people, I hope they watch these elections and the results of majority of these elections. Most of the people try to play it down and say that elections were happening in democratic strongholds. That's not how it is. Remember, in Virginia, even the reddest of red states were flipped.
Georgia.
In Virginia, they were flipped so bad to a point whereby in the next elections, we can have everything blue. That's how bad they were. That's how things were flipped. So it means it shows that, and I'm glad that we have Prof here, who's a politician. It pretty shows, and it's a lesson for people who want to go into office. It shows that your policies and how you serve your people, at the end of the day, can make people remind you that they are the real leaders, even though you try to flex the powers that they've invoked on them. It's at the end of the day, the people speak and the people can decide. The same people who put you there can take you out. But coming back to today's show, what I would like to learn about, what I'd like to know, what I'd like to get as a takeaway from this show is, Prof is one of us. He's one of us in the diaspora, and he was running for the main seat in Kenya. So what I'd like to learn more is more of the inspiration of somebody in the diaspora who wants to run to office, how to inspire, like what made him decide that he wants to run to office, and looking at that blueprint, how can we get more Kenyans who are here involved politically back home? Not involved in a way whereby we just want to say, okay, I'm from the States, I've lived somewhere better, I know how, but more involved in a way on how do we make it that you are just not another politician who's filling up numbers, but a politician who's actually going to serve people.
Okay, hapo asante sana Mika. Like this it's already going on a good start, and we're gonna be diving into all these conversations today. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. We have Professor George Wajackoyah in studio, and Lawrence Kihanya here from Baltimore is already asking, is Prof open to teaming up with other parties? If so, which one and not which? So we're also going to be talking about
that one. Is ahead of the class.
Yes, he's ahead of the class, but that's something that we're
That one is always ahead
about.
of the class.
Yeah.
Huyo
is always hapa sijui kama, I think there kuna some party agents here, there's all kinds of people who are tuned in today to come and figure out
ulimpea leakage
what direction we'll go. No, hakuna leakage, like I am the only one who has the leakage.
Hakuna mtu anatuangalia.
Yes,
just say the truth.
Yes, and then hapa Opata Mike anasema welcome Professor Wajackoyah on YouTube. Again, number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. And Mathera Kath is also tuned in all the way from California. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now, Prof, I'm going to go back to that question about presidential candidate visits, because we've been bombarded by certain visits this year. So these things are still on people's minds. And I agree. My panelists will agree with me when I say a lot of these visits, like from a lot of other presidential candidates, this is my first time seeing you here as a presidential candidate, but from a lot of these other candidates, they tend to be photo ops, meaning like those visits that we had, now that the presidential candidate is gone, when we ask what meaningful did we get out of them, most people cannot tell you, including the people who are organizing them.
Powder up.
But now,
powder up.
With an example of your visit, how maybe can diasporans turn these visits into something tangible and meaningful for Kenya, if you talk about your trip specifically? Prof.
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. Actually, it should have been me asking that question, because I've been a partaker and a participant in welcoming these candidates when I was living in UK, London, where I was practicing as a lawyer before I moved in here. We did a lot of frameworks and laying the foundation for those visitors to come, especially politicians, to raise funds. And a lot of what I have from my experience was a garbage can talk. Garbage can talk.
What do you mean by
It's
garbage
like
can talk?
taking garbage and putting it into a can,
Yeah.
expecting molasses to grow overnight.
Oh my goodness.
They will come in and say how Kenya is. And of course, in those days, we did not have digital information.
Mm-hmm.
We used to hear from them telling us what was going on at home. And I, having been in exile for many years, having gone through what I went through, I was very eager to know what was going on at home. And I did invite a number of them to come when I was a student leader at School of Oriental and African Studies, University of London. And every time they came, it was the same story. But they were on begging mission, begging syndrome, telling the West how we were poor at home, how we want aid. And that's why I've decided to change Kenya from a begging can to a working nation, begging syndrome. So technically, they come to tell lies because I've not seen anyone implementing what they stand for. They don't sell policies. They don't talk about the diaspora. They tell the diaspora, you remain here. I think you are doing well. Send money home. They have no idea of what the diasporians go through, like the experiences we have. So it's actually a photoshopping venture.
Wow, this is so amazing. It's like Prof. Wajackoyah was in a meeting with us, because this is the same conversations we had. We've actually had a couple of episodes, and maybe Omosh, Mika, I want to bring you guys in for you guys to just react to what Prof has said, because this is what we were complaining about. And you made a very good point. You wanted to ask us this question because we are the ones who host these leaders. So we should create an environment in a way that will be able to derive something that's tangible and meaningful to us. Because in this digital age, we already are following what's happening in Kenya day by day. So there's not, like that much value in telling us that this is what's been happening or that's been happening. But we haven't gotten that formula of being able to get tangible benefits out of this. DJ Mosh Fire. I mean, isn't this so amazing? It's like we were sitting together in a meeting with Prof. Wajackoyah when we were complaining about especially the format of these so-called town halls.
The meet and greets.
Yeah, the meet and greets, and they're called town halls, but they're not really town halls.
The town halls with the controlled microphone that never goes around, and the questions that have already been pre-populated that were coming from a church group, and you didn't belong to it, but you came to the meeting.
The two questions at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's the two questions at the end, so it's not even an interactive session.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ikiwa uko kwa opposition na unajulikana kama mse wa opposition,
you never get the mic.
your mic.
Yes.
In fact, you might not enter the hall.
Yeah, you may never get the mic.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike.
Yes.
What what is it that, maybe let me ask this question, what is it that we are doing wrong as far as this is concerned? Because Prof put it so aptly that he wants to throw the questions back at us.
I don't think it's what we are doing wrong, personally. What I think is, like he stated, he was part of the organizing committee and organizing people and bringing people in. And these people are coming in specifically with one purpose: to raise funds. And with that in mind, we did not have any power yet. We did not have the voting power. Because for a long time, we had tried to fight for the diaspora to be able to vote. And by diaspora, I mean America. Let's be clear. Because, when you say diaspora, then people think you're just talking about America. No, I'm talking about stato, like having the ability to be able to vote.
Yes.
And then once we're given that ability and that opportunity, we can see the numbers. However, one thing we've established is that we are, like he said, we are a funding. He didn't say funding, but sisi ni watu wa pesa.
Yeah.
We are the pocket.
Yeah.
We are the
silent investors.
Yes.
Silent investors.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring in Mika. And this time around, it was so arrogant that they even had ile kitu inaitwaje, the barcode. Yes, it was open there.
Yeah.
It's no longer done secretly.
Yeah, cash up.
Yeah, Cash App na Zelle.
So so for us that it has been, but like we have been trying to push. It's good that we have the opportunity, but we are not effectively using the opportunity to vote to make a statement.
Okay. Mika.
Agree with you.
Say again, Mika.
I want to unpolitely disagree with you.
Okay.
Please
Talk to us, Mika.
and politely.
So the thing is, it is a mistake that we do. Zisema, there's no mistake we do. It is a mistake we do, and the mistake we do is that shida yetu ni we have not left. We try to hold on. We try to hold on into semblance of what we know Kenya as, and the problem with us Kenyans is, kwa Kiswahili watu sema tunapenda kiki, kwa Kizungu watu sema tunapenda clout. We like to be involved, to be able to name drop, to be able to say that we have a certain association with certain people. We forget. We can sit here and criticize Trump and Republicans, and then when it turns back to Kenyan politicians, we look at them as celebrities, as people who you're supposed to hold on to a higher pedestal. And if it's somebody who you're associated with, you feel like you're special, or you feel like you're above people who don't have that access. So when we organize these fundraisings over here, we know exactly we are going to put money onto that. And you want to have that association of that. I, myself, when a certain presidential candidate was here, if they become president, you will go for that photo of moment and post that photo that you took when they were here to show people that I was part of the people who made this guy president. When I was here, I was in separation. Some even look at it as a way of trying to, Kenyan politicians is a deal-making area on how they can benefit from that. But the thing that we as diaspora, where we fail, is that we are quick to lecture the electorate and not hold the leaders accountable. We look at the leaders as celebrities and we look at them at awe and we put them in a pedestal. That is why when they come here, those leaders don't come here just for the sake of it and wake up and say, I'm going to America to go and collect money. Somebody from here organizes with them, speaks with them, and create that tour knowing that we are going to make money. So it starts from us to tell them the value of them coming here. And when they come here, we try to bend backwards for them instead of holding them accountable. That is why we agree to hold those so-called town halls that are not town halls. We protect them, we shide them, we shield them from criticism because we want to be in their good book. So it's Mike, I will not agree with what you said. It's not something that we need to learn. We know what we are doing and we do it deliberately.
Point taken, Mika. Point taken, and like Mika's a good point. And then we still have comments coming here on YouTube. Goodia says, I would rather have a living Kenyan than diaspora as a president. Diaspora people live in an unreal world. This is just my opinion. And he says he agrees with Mika. And then Soy Session says, I have 3 questions and statements for Professor. Wow. Okay. You can either type the questions there or the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Again, that number is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. And then here we have Rosalind Rosie tuned in and Asema. Actually, Waithera is saying thank you for giving him this opportunity. He's a diaspora just like us. Much respect to you. And then Waithera was like, whoa, garbage can talk. Best analogy ever. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak.
Prof. Wajackoyah saying spot on Mika, but we don't know where Washaka is tuning in from.
Yes, tell us where you're tuned in from. And then going back now home in Kenya, because here diaspora, I think we've had that discussion a lot of times, but now going back to Kenya, Prof, there's something called continuous voter registration, which is already underway. But once again, diaspora is locked out with no communication from IEBC whatsoever. You've been a long-time diasporan yourself in the US and the UK and took part in the agitation for the dual citizenship that we enjoy today and diaspora voting rights. Now, as the leader of Roots Party of Kenya, what would you like to see different in how diaspora voting and registration is handled by IBC. Prof.
My government is going to make voter registration compulsory at the age of maturity. You reach 18, you want a driver's license, you want to open a bank account, you are registered to vote. That will minimize corruption, will minimize the so-called tenderpreneurship of voter registration, and that will be a thing of the past. Second thing is, we would like to be libertarians. We can vote through many ways. There will be no secrecy in voting. We can vote through digital system. We can vote manually, or even by postal services. This era of secrecy is against, or it violates Article 1 of the Constitution of India, which says that India belongs to the Indian people, wherever they are. Even if you are the 10th generation Indian, born in Jamaica, so long as you can trace your roots, you are an Indian, you can register to vote at the maturity age and vote from wherever you are. That similarly goes to the preamble of the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya is very analytic because it was actually copied and pasted by the so-called men and women who went to school, who were tasked to do the same. The preamble of the Constitution is the Constitution of the country. It says, we the people do hereby. It starts with we the people, and it ends at do hereby. Do hereby gives them the reference to do what they can without being bound by that paper. Whatever is below is nonsense. What I mean by nonsense, it can be changed by the preamble. Therefore, I would say that universal suffrage, so-called human rights, have actually been a dodging aspect. We do not want to put power in the hands of very few men and women. We need to go universal, and I, being Kenyan, I would like to apply the preamble of we the people and suggest to the Kenyan people that voting is your right. It's a universal right. It's not a privilege. It's fundamental. And therefore, you have to be empowered by the tool to vote. When you become of age, you're registered to vote.
You know, all these suggestions you give, Prof, we love to hear them. And actually, your manifesto has a very radical idea of suspending the Constitution, because what you're talking about is very fundamentally, like a constitutional issue. This is not just something that you can change by law. How exactly, does that work? And I like the example that you gave of India, but I'd like to know, like the example you give, because that's what people want. When people turn 18 to be automatically registered, that makes, it makes total sense. This extra layer, I've never quite understood it. But because of the systems that we currently have, is there maybe any other examples of maybe any countries in the world that have that system of when you turn 18, you're automatically registered to vote? Because even here in the US, you still have to take that extra step to register, but it's a very simple process. And you can do it while you're taking your driver's license or ID.
Kenyans lead in everything in the world. We are not number 2 citizens of the world. We are number 1 citizens, and we can always chart our own way to design our own destiny and through and our sovereignty. So we don't need to wait for somebody to tell us what to do. We can do it.
Okay, I like the sound of that. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Prof. Wajackoyah in the studio. There was a question that was coming here from Soy Sessions on YouTube. He's asking, in his next presidential bid, how will he manage change the status drastically, knowing we are very conservative? Of course, we're going to be talking about this throughout the show, so that answer will come in. And then Goodyear is asking, how are we not sure that Wajackoyah is going to suffer amnesia when elected by forgetting the development of Kenya and the public as a whole? I think that's a good question for you to address, because this is a syndrome, like Kenyans have been suffering. We currently have a president who promised and overpromised, and within a very short time, especially the people who supported him, realized that most of those promises will not be delivered. So this is something that Kenyans are afraid of.
I will start by saying, or calling myself a caricature. I am a caricature. I'll come to that later on. because not very many people understand what a caricature is. But you can look at it, define it, spit on it, laugh on it, and what have you. The problem with us, with the promises, is whenever we start something in Kenya, we start with a prayer, we tell lies, and then we close by prayer.
With a prayer, yeah.
We have to look into that analogy and find out what went wrong. Are we deceiving God when we start mocking God by starting with prayers? That's something we can look into. Secondly, you did mention about the Constitution or suspending the Constitution, what have you. Yes, we shall. We shall apply the preamble, and we shall apply the preamble, and we can suspend anything for the benefit of Kenyans and go for a referendum to review part of the Constitution that has gone wrong. Kenya has got a Constitution written on 268 pages. 268 pages full of garbage can, as compared to the American Constitution, which is only on how many pages?
It's 4 pages. 1, 2, 3,
pages.
4, yes.
And what's important on that page? There are 3 things. The Article 1 of the United States Constitution, the Article 2 of the United States Constitution, and the Article 3 of the United States Constitution. Those 3 articles give what we call separation of powers. And within that genesis of separation of powers, you'll find out that there are border points and limitations. But the key point or the key value of those 3 is Congress. Whatever Congress says, whatever Congress donates powers,
Yes.
whatever Congress says.
Yeah.
And they have only amended this constitution how many times?
Is it 20 something times?
28?
Is it 25? I think it's
Yes.
25, yeah.
And the most fundamental part of the amended constitution is the 14th Amendment. Apart from the 4th Amendment, the 5th Amendment, and the 6th Amendment, which cannot be tampered with. Now look at the Kenyan system. The whole thing stinks. That's why I call, in garbage can theory, we call it, that garbage needs fumigation. And the only person who can do fumigation is this man who is sitting here. Because I do understand what it is. I've been involved in politics around the world. I myself has run as a member of parliament for Tottenham. It's defeated by the current Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. David Lammy, who is also a foreign secretary. Therefore, we know what we are looking into and what we want. And that's why I'm defining myself as a caricature of maybe of the 11th century or 6th century, like Socrates and what have you. You can call me what you want, but these things are doable. Maybe a madman is required to change, to bring change in that country, and probably that madman is me.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
This is so shocking. You know,
Ali.
like it's even beyond what I expected. But again,
So Ali, what do you call a madman in Kiswahili?
mwendo wazimu
Okay.
ama kichaa. Okay. But here Sada was saying, how can we ensure that US residents in the diaspora can be ready to vote? They are currently required to travel to Washington D.C. Are there better ways of doing this? And I think, of course,
Yes.
you've already addressed that.
I think I should address that.
Yes,
It's
go
very
ahead.
core and very key to my... you remember I told you about compulsory registration, voter registration at the age of 18, which Roots Party will make sure that that will be debated and passed, if not even by decree or dictatorship. Now, when it comes to voter registration in this country,
Yes.
you'll find out, and I will give you a very shocking example, that in the last election, we only had 100 Kenyans that registered. Only 100 Kenyans registered in the United States. Why? Because they make it fundamentally impossible. They put vote registration stations in Washington, D.C., and probably at the consulate in
New York.
New York
And
LA.
Los Angeles.
Yeah.
But then imagine how the diversity of this country and the paper issues that Kenyans have, which I will also address at at another point, and the loss of sovereignty for Kenyans who have lost value because of their papers and who has been left infertile instead of the government coming to their rescue. How do you expect a Kenyan from Atlanta who is working 2 jobs to make a living, who probably does not have papers because of the circumstances, and we all have gone through that, to go to New York or to go to the embassy, the Kenyan embassy here, to register as a voter? In our days, there was too much tragic conflict of interest at the embassy. You go in there Maybe you'll stay for the whole day. Nobody wants to take care of you or to look at you. It's like huyo Mkenya amekuja kufanya nini, atukuregister, atukwenda uchukue karatasi ukae huko. That was the norm that particular time, and tribalism coming in, and then you'll be like, Wakale ni wangapi, Wajaluo ni wangapi, let's come on, let reality be faced. Kenyans are not interested because you don't give them the incentive. You don't register them at the door. Kenya has a lot of money. You'll find them coming for benchmarking, going to wine and drink and wine glasses, the White House here. But they don't tell Americans that this is what we want for our people, like what has happened in Burkina Faso. They go there to sing, to dine and to beg and to look big in suits. Trust me, probably in my presidency, my ministers may not wear those suits unless they account for them.
Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. That's Prof. Wajackoyah speaking. We have quite a number of comments coming in here. I'm gonna be reading them, but I want us to move on a little bit forward here. On Facebook, I can see Washeke is tuning in Mar-a-Lago, trying to end the shutdown. And then she's saying spot on Mika, and then Afro-Jamaican Kaiser Soze says, I like this guy. This is his first time interacting with you, and clearly he already likes you. And Stephen JJ says chonjo chonjo. Now I want to remind now before we actually get there, when just talking about voting and elections, we have our neighbors in Tanzania, mainland, who have been rocked by their first major post-election violence in the recently concluded polls. I don't know that to call this their Gen Z moment or to call this their Saba Saba moment, because Tanzania is a bit behind in that respect. Now, most independent observers have tagged it as a sham election that did not meet the minimum acceptable standards. We also know that the opposition leader Chadema's Tundu Lissu has been locked up since April on charges of treason. We saw you earlier with Chadema members here in D.C. There was a message from the jail leader. So, Prof, what was Tundu Lissu's message to East Africans out here in D.C. and in the U.S. at large? Let's go to Tanzania, Prof.
First of all, thank you very much for asking that question. Tundu Lissu was my classmate at Warwick University some years ago. And currently, I'm also the lawyer, one of the lawyers for Chadema. You may remember, or if you can Google, that when the late Magufuli violated the constitution and threw a lot of members of parliament for Chadema, including God Bless Lema for Arusha Mjini, I was the one who designed an escape route through Namanga, where I used my skills and went into Tanzania and escaped with 5 members of parliament who had been incarcerated. That is something that is for another day. So
you entered Tanzania and helped them exit.
To escape, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big story. And
Prof, isn't that
alisema mwendazimu?
Yeah, isn't that illegal, Prof?
What is illegal with saving a soul that is fighting for rights?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
Alia ni unaona vile hata amekutolea nini?
No, ni kweli. Your point is God Bless Lema, the one who's in exile currently.
I worked on his case until he was taken to Canada.
Canada, yes.
And a lot of them, even from Roria, there were a lot of Luo community and members of parliament, Kina Wenje and what have you.
Yes.
Being a household name from that time in Tanzania, Tundu Lissu and the Chadema party, and having hosted them in Nairobi for almost 4 months in my office, and very close to me, and the message that was given to me by Tundu Lissu is not for disclosure.
Okay.
That was yesterday.
Okay. So it's privileged information.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We of course are following what's happening in Tanzania, and we wish them all the best. They're going through a very difficult time, but we are hoping that they will emerge from it.
Because whatever is going on is crazy, because it is and it is important, I think, also just to mention, or to talk about it at least, in that the happenings, what's going on, because you find that at some point reports coming out that 31 million people voted, whatever. Then it was such a short count, and then she was
Yes.
declared. There's even a speech when she was giving the speech. There were 17. In total, there were 17 aspirants, but she came out as the winner.
98%.
With 98%.
98%.
Yeah.
Right. And it's and there's also inferences of outsiders.
Yeah. What
Technically
Wanje.
Kenya.
Yeah. Technically
Supposedly
Kenya.
whatever.
When you say
causing
Kenya,
brouhaha.
when you say Kenya without mentioning Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but because she's not mentioning Kenya,
She's
but
not
like
mentioning Kenya.
infiltrators
Yes,
and
yeah.
whatever,
Mhm.
and then the reports coming out of the Kenyan who was shot,
Yes.
who
There's
was
a teacher
legally
who was
there,
shot.
a
Yeah.
teacher
Yeah.
working there legally, had the papers, but the inference or the message being portrayed was a Kenyan shot, and then it's all tied into protests and whatever.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, but I think
So it's
Yeah.
it's kind of, but it's an awakening for Tanzania.
for Tanzania. And I think even the most ardent supporters of CCM agree that this was a sham election.
Of course.
Because I think even the people...
Even wait, even like in a Diamond and them.
like that's a whole other story.
That has commercial ramifications. Should I say it has financial ramifications? So you can't really.
I think what's fair. I think what's fair is to get some of the
People on the
Tanzanians
ground.
that we have
Watu wako kwa
that we
ground.
actually have here to come and talk to us. And one thing that we are learning
Kwanza wewe
with
bandio
this-
wewe.
one thing we're learning with this experience is that Kenya is so advanced. We've gone through experiences where we're even being told when you interview a Tanzanian, you cannot ask this and you cannot ask that. So we sometimes take this for granted.
We sure do.
Yeah, we take this for granted,
Yeah.
but I'm people in other countries are even scared of talking when they were abroad. And that's why we thank people like Prof who went into exile. There's multiple people who went into exile so that we can have the right to do even what we're doing today.
True.
There are many people who watch what we're doing and what we talk about, and they cannot do that about their country. So I think this is a topic that we're going to get to.
And think that they'll be able to enter their borders back again.
Yes.
Without being persecuted.
Yes, exactly. I want to remind the listeners that you're tuned into the One Mic Show, and I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking to presidential candidate and Roots Party of Kenya leader, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah. He's just talked to us about his current trip in the US and why diaspora still matters in Kenyan politics. But now we shift gears from Wajackoyah, the presidential candidate, to the dusty roads of Mumias, where it all began. We'll shortly be tracing his journey from being an abandoned child in Western Kenya to living in exile for almost 2 decades and still daring to run for president. So I want you to stay tuned for that. We'll also talk about what life in exile really looks like, the turning point that changed everything, and yes, we'll once and for all settle the rumors on does Wajackoyah really champ snakes and smoke ganja in his free time. That will be settled today, so no worries about that. And our lines are open. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak, so feel free to call in. Now, Prof, I want us to now go back a little bit in time. Before this eccentric image and persona of Wajackoyah that most Kenyans are familiar with today, you live in exile for nearly 20 years before returning back home. Now, before going to exile, you worked for the intelligence services in Moi's government, and then way back where it all started in Mumias, you were abandoned as a teen and became a street boy. So for the benefit of those that are not familiar with, for those who are maybe only familiar with the durag-wearing bearded snake charmer and ganja farmer, walk us back from where it all started in Mumias to becoming a presidential candidate in 2022, going against giants like William Ruto and the late Raila Odinga. Prof, twende kazi.
Born on 24th October 1959, 66 years old.
Wow.
Last October.
Okay.
Brought myself up after a separation of my dad and mom for reasons that I cannot say here because I've healed. Because it becomes very emotional when I remember what I went through when I was a young child. I was left at the disposition of my grandparents, whereby I became a hats boy. But that was the best experience I had, and that's what I would like my children also to go through, to know that life is not what you see. At my young age, while I was tending animals, cows, I was hit by a python and I was unconscious, I think, for some time. And the python was killed, but still I was unconscious. I have marks everywhere on my body. If I have, if I have to remove my T-shirt, you might run away because of the scars that are inhibited from the snake. At one point, while at school, and I used to walk for at least 8 miles from Buhui Primary School to Indangalasia. It was actually 8 miles. I was hit by lightning. It was lunchtime when we went to take refuge in the market before going back for the afternoon classes. I was hit by lightning and 4 people died, but I was burned one side. I don't know what the police did when they were recruiting me. They never saw this mark. They only saw it after I graduated from Kenya Police College. Then at one time, life was very unbearable. I had to stow away going to look for my mom, and I took my route to Busia. In Busia town, I was actually, I went where this coastal petrol tankers, we used to have a logistics company which used to take oil, petroleum to Uganda. I got somebody there, he was talking to me, he was a driver to one of those tankers. He put me in the lorry or tank and found myself in Nairobi. But what is intriguing is that this man went to buy milk and he left me in the house and I never saw him again.
Oh,
I
wow.
was told that he had been hit by a lorry in Jogoo Road. But later on I came to learn that he was gay. He was gay and probably I was his
You are a
sweetmeat on
target.
that particular time. And God saved me from that. So while in Nairobi, I became a street kid and Hare Krishna,
Wow.
Hare Rama. That time they were giving food to the kids in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was lured into that, and then they took me to the temple and they gave me a roof on my head. I stayed in the temple for a while until members of the Asian community who were worshipping in that particular temple in Ngara took me to school. When I advanced, one Asian, Mr. Ramlal Sharma of City High School, which is now Pioneer International University, may God rest his soul, took me to school, and now I used to do manual jobs, cleaning 40 classrooms with other workers. Then I was living in the store adjacent to that. Then one day, JJ Kamodo came in. He was his friend and he was Minister for Education, Higher Education, while Professor Jonathan Ngeno was Minister for Basic Education. So every time JJ came in, I used to clean his car. So he became familiar to me. And then Sharma would tell him that, yes, I'm taking him to school. You know, that pride.
Yes.
I've taken an African child. I'm taking him to school just to get those favors to show that actually he was a good man. After Form 4, Kamodo came in when the results had just come out. And he said, Kamwana, what did you get? I said, I got Division 3. What do you want to do? I said, I want to go to high school. That's how Kamodo later on arranged. And I went to Mumias Boys with a letter and a check to pay fees.
Wow.
So
Okay.
at Mumias High School, I tried. It was a new school. I got 1 principal and 3 subsidiaries. Went back to Nairobi, taught at Ravel Secondary School where I taught the late Jacob Midio. Taught at City High School, my former school. And then I was taken into the police as a police constable.
Okay.
I went to Kiganjo, trained as a police constable. I was posted back to Central Police Station where I came to work. Then, because I was an A-level police constable, an order came from the Inspector General of Police, that time Commissioner of Police, requiring all the A-level police officers to go back to Kiganjo to be trained into under special inspectorate course. I went to Kiganjo, I did it, and then I was reposted back to Central. Then I was deployed to Pangani Police Station where I became an OC crime. From Pangani Police Station, there was Kasarani All African Games Stadium to be opened.
88.
So we were taken to Kasarani and I became the officer in charge of the police post because it was a post that particular time. I was young, slender with the pip. That's my moja hapa. Then when the stadium was opened, James Kanyotu, the then director of intelligence, had a lot of interest in me. And he said, young man, why can't you just join the intelligence? And that's the best thing that I ever did. I joined the intelligence, worked for years, trained both inside and outside the country. And that's how I came across to be bestowed to do the Dr. Oko inquiry. That time I was the personal assistant to Kanyotu. The only PA Kanyotu ever had in this world was me for a number of years. And because of that trust, I was commissioned to investigate Oko's murder. And then when things went south, I was detained, beaten, tortured, until Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And that's why my history with the Jaramogis is deeper than what people did. Jaramogi, through Smith Hemstone, the then
US ambassador,
and Raila's wife, Ida, they arranged for me to escape. So I was taken to Lufthansa airline, cargo airline in Bakassi, not JKIA. That's how I was able to escape to Germany. Then from Germany, I was brought here. And then I was brought to London. Then Independent Television News and the Guardian newspaper, they took charge. The journalists who were investigating Oko's death took charge of me. Then asylum issues came in. Then I became a refugee. And then I started it off as a security guard, as a bus driver, as a grave digger. And I learned from the art of the streets in London. I advanced from the streets of Nairobi to a policeman, now again back to the streets of London. And I'm telling you that being street smart can make you a caricature, that people don't understand where you're coming. So I went to law school. James Orengo smuggled my papers from City High School to enable me to enroll. And that's how I enrolled in Wolverhampton University, at Holborn College. And while I was working as a night guard, I was also doing grave diggings on Saturdays. And there's a time during holidays, I was a bus driver, those red buses. And that's how I made things work out. So I did the first degree, and I went to University of London for my first master's, went to Warwick for another master's. And because of my accent, which has never changed, I went to law school until I don't know, got how many degrees. So I became a permanent student, but then I also became a liberator. I joined students' unions to fight for African freedoms. And that's one thing that people do not know about me. That's why I'm a caricature. They look at me as a fool. They design me the way they want to design me. And you know what Kenyans in D.C. did for me, but I kept quiet and I survived. So we went to Mozambique, fought in Mozambique. We fought in Eritrea. We actually looked at the Angolan situation. And then we teamed up with other African presidents, including the late Jerry Rawlings. And when Moi was at the peak of murdering Kenyans, we showed him dust. We formed a movement to topple him, because he was a dictator. There was no rule of law.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you say that you are going to follow law? So we wanted him overthrown. And then things worked out the other way around. So we were able to bring in the Fera, the people who had been condemned to death, led by Wangamati. We convinced Museveni through Jerry Rawlings for them to be taken to Ghana. And that's why we fought a clean war. And I'm very happy that most of my friends that we were with became leaders in some of those countries.
Wow. I mean, this is so compelling. You know, Mike.
No. Because you had me at where you have been brought in. You are now investigating
Ouko's murder.
And then things went south. And I'm like, okay, how did things go south? Where did things go south? What? For you to have to be smuggled out that window.
What did you know?
Because it is I think it's crucial to know.
What do
because
you know?
This is history that we are learning.
This is history, because I remember we were young at that time, and there was that Ouko inquiry that was every day.
Yeah, because you had the Scotland Yard coming in.
Yeah.
And then
True. So what is it? What is it that maybe you saw that you were not supposed to see? You can now reveal it.
I cannot reveal it until the right time comes, when I'm the president of that country.
I think that the people are still alive.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. And this is quite a compelling story. This is a side that a lot of people
But if you're
don't
able to
know.
talk about it
Yeah.
You talk until a certain point, then you chill.
Yeah.
without mentioning names.
Yeah.
Because no one has been vilified.
Yes, and I can still see that intelligence training still there. Because people in intelligence, they'll talk to you, but they know where to stop.
Kuna kalaini.
Yeah, they know where to make a hard stop.
They align and say, hey, apa.
Yeah, and
Eh,
they
Are
know.
you saying it's like Robert Mueller?
No, not Robert Mueller. There's a guy.
No,
who-
this just call me. But
Yeah.
Robert Mueller said, you
Yes.
can't prosecute a sitting president.
Yes, and then there was the guy who
Think about
I don't know that you guys watch this podcast called The Diary of a CEO. There's a guy with long hair who was a former CEO.
I haven't
operative.
watched that one.
Yeah, you need to watch it. Very, very interesting. But anyway,
Because the thing is, from what Prof has said, the questions that are going to arise.
yeah,
That one is because when he says what he's saying, technically he's also invoking the Fifth Amendment. He's saying, beyond this, I plead the Fifth.
no, and things were quite serious at that particular time in Kenya. I mean,
But
But
we were
isn't
very
there
young.
isn't there something? Don't we have something like about statute of limitations? Like, whenever that happened,
Which one are you saying, for whistleblowers, or what are you talking about?
like Robert Huko, because
Hey, boss.
Yeah. Anyway,
ama hizi ni stories za jaba.
out here,
Boss.
Ama
yeah.
kuna Mika
Mika,
Yeah,
say it.
Mika,
Go
Mika
ahead,
has
Mika.
something to say. Let Mika say. But before Mika, you speak, I just want to read Afro-Jamaican's comment. Afro-Jamaican says, "Whoa, what a full life." And he's only in his 60s, a very accomplished man. So Afro-Jamaican, yeah, mekubali, like if he gets his Kenyan citizenship,
I think
you have his
Afro-Jamaican
vote.
will become
and
the
him, because by the way,
the diaspora
he wants
representative
he
in
wants to be
Wajackoyah's
he wants to be a
government.
Kenyan citizen.
I'm an immigration lawyer in Kenya. He's welcome.
Okay. All right,
Afro-Jamaican,
Afro-Jamaican.
we will tie you in with him.
We'll tie you
we,
in.
We had you. We had your question.
And I'm also an immigration lawyer here and in the UK. That's why I got my PhD in immigration the other day.
Oh my goodness.
The other day, ametoboa siri.
So now you see, Afro-Jamaican's dream is to become a Kenyan. Have you ever met? Yeah,
He's a Jamaican, born in Jamaica,
lived in Canada.
lives in Canada, is a Canadian citizen, but wants to go back to
You
the
can advise
motherland.
him. The law allows him to become a citizen.
Okay.
You can
We-
advise him on the ways of becoming a citizen of Kenya.
We will connect you. He's been having some trouble with that. We will
Yeah,
connect you.
there are some people who've been asking for envelopes that keep getting browner.
Yeah, but
No, he can come and visit the country, do what
he was
He
there.
was actually last year. He
was there
this-
like 2 months ago.
2 months ago.
he
2-3 months
regularly goes to
Yeah,
Kenya.
he just came back from 2 months ago.
He's welcome. Kenya is a
Story
free
waongee
country.
bright. Sasa mnaweka biashara ya Afro-Jamaican yote kwa redio.
Hapana,
Okay.
asijaweka
Sialieka.
biashara bana, siasha yeye ndiye ameweka na
Yeye ndiye
ameshasema.
aliweka, ilikuwa
He even
TikTok.
he even has
Yeah.
a podcast.
Yeah.
We shall assist a brother to come back. And that's why when I become the president, I'll do away with these mimics and miniokas of having blacks coming in the country. You see, like Burkina Faso, the president of Burkina Faso has said, you can come in without a visa so long as you're black and you can stay.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, Kenya doesn't want that at the
Because
moment.
of colonial mediocrity.
I know. Mika, you had something you wanted to add. Mika.
Muka alitoa bunduki. Go ahead, Mika.
For me, first of all, Prof, that's a very intriguing story that you gave to us about your life. And the funny thing is that when you were mentioning that you used to walk from Buhui to Indangalasia, that is literally where I'm from. Uko ni kwetu. I'm from Butla.
Oh, Ulange Butula.
Anga Butula ndi Maraj.
Yes, in the marriage.
Okay. French.
Chief Louis,
French
uko hapo,
imeanza.
uko hapo.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Mika.
It was very relatable to me because those are places that I've gone to, and I could actually picture the distance. And
It's not close.
I think when he says 8 miles is being modest, that is a long. That's a long way. It's a long way for somebody to be working every day. But another intriguing thing about your life is that how you just kept on going. Like there was no other choice. You just kept on going. It's one thing that should be inspirational to anybody or who just listen to it is that despite whatever challenges that you faced in life, you just kept going. Like, what's the secret to that? Just keep going on and on and on and on. Like, a lot of us would have given up. Hiyo siku ya Python too.
That's true.
Prof, what's the secret?
what's the
You're
secret?
Python.
What's the secret
What's
of
the secret?
keeping walking?
Yeah.
You know.
To keep going.
Yeah, thank you. Right now I'm 66 with a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I look frugal, and that's what I am. That's my definition.
Mm.
One thing is self-determination and consciousness. I learned so much in Hare Krishna about meditation, the do's and don'ts, the eateries and no eateries, the behavioral structure and non-behavioral structure. And from Hare Krishna I learned, and I adapted their custom, Hindu custom. I don't drink alcohol at all. I don't eat meat. I don't eat fish. I don't even, we leave it there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We can
So
fill in the
it
blanks.
is the believing, the meanness. Who is me? What am I designed of? What kind of character do I want to be? Do I want to be a loner, a range loner, and do something extraordinary, like what Pilato did, Socrates, and the great men and women of the 8th AD, 4th AD, and 17th century? Do I want to be a character of those centuries in this century? Can I do something better than them? How do I design myself? You look at Foucault, a great character, French character, who for so many years was considered a madman because he was depicting a body with pain, how doctors and scientists look at human body and dissect it with pain. So he developed a language. It was not until 1952 when he was called in Harvard by Mr. Harvard himself to come and give a lecture about his language, that the Harvard University, which was by then in a small house, recognized the talents of this person and gave him 8 PhDs, and that language you have in hospitals today was started by Foucault. Now you tell me, if Foucault was here today, how do you look at Foucault? And that's the caricature in Wajackoyah today. People look at me as they would have looked at Foucault at that particular time. People look at me as they would have looked at Socrates at that particular time. Because of extraordinary way of behavior, character and characteristics. Doing things that no normal human beings will do. Saying things that that a so-called person from a moral society will look at it as obscene, as nonsensical, as obnoxious. That's me.
Wow. Okay. All right. that is quite intriguing. And then here, Afro-Jamaican again. I mean, Afro-Jamaican is just very compelled. He says he needs a publicist PR person. His story is inspiring, and I think he can make an impact. Afro-Jamaican, this is... Every Kenyan knows who Wajackoyah is. And I think Afro-Jamaican is coming into contact with you for the first time.
Oh, this is his first time, maybe?
I believe this
I
is his
think
first
so.
time. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, I think this is his first time. So
You can call in to
I think yes.
Yeah, for Jamaican, dial that number. Let's hear what you have to say.
Yes, 202-683-4570, press star 5 to speak. And Waithira Kathy says much respect to Prof, qualified, highly educated, and also exposed to successful Western democracy. How will Prof reach out or connect to the millions of Kenyans who don't associate success with recreational herbal activity? Are Kenyans ready to be swayed? And with this question that Waithira is asking, maybe this is the point where I need to ask you, Prof, this image of a durag-wearing, bearded snake charmer and ganja farmer, how much of this is literal versus just being symbolic? Is this branding for survival in a crowded political arena? Or does Prof. George Luchiri Wajackoyah really champ snakes and smoke ganja in his
And I
free
think
time?
he forgot in his manifesto selling dog meat.
Yes, we're going to talk about that.
Okay, sawa,
Yeah,
sawa,
we're going to
sawa.
talk about that. We want to know about the
Snake charmer.
what Waithera
Yes,
called
Rastafari.
recreational herbal activity. Is this something that you partake in? Because what you talked about, Hare Krishna, I don't know whether it allows this recreational herbal activity that people have come to associate you with.
First of all, I'll put a footnote on what I said about Hare Krishna. It was a belief that was not compulsory. It does not disbar me or bar me from doing anything that I want.
Or it's a choice.
Now, number two, anyone who is listening to me should go on Google and Google Menelik II. Menelik II. What comes out of Menelik II is a durag.
Is that the Ethiopian emperor?
Yes.
Okay.
That durag had symbolic meaning at that particular time. He was resisting the Italian invasion. And he said that unless or until the Italians are kicked out of, you can see there it is, kicked out of Ethiopia, he will not relent and will never remove his durag. Now, if I may pose a question, do African Americans wear durags?
Yes.
Yeah, they sure
Yes.
do.
Anyone ever wanted to find out why they wear durags?
No.
So they
No,
can, so I
actually,
can
I've
get
never.
so I can get calicate.
Well, if you look at the history and the precedent that was laid by Menelik II, you go back, because I'm married to an African American, you go back to the ship ways, the slave trade journeys, whereby when they were actually on the seas, higher seas being transported, wherever they were being transported, a lot of them died from diseases, others were killed. But any African American who was killed at that particular time or thrown in the sea, a cloth was torn from them as a loan, and it was tied on whoever had actually the audacity to do the miniature. Those who succeeded to reach the mainland now had to count how many were thrown in the sea.
Wow.
And that's why they came up as a means of resistance. That if we die, we remember this symbolic gesture of our brothers and sisters who died over the sea. That's why they started wearing that as a sign of victory.
Wow.
And that's why you see them wearing that when they are going for basketball and what have you. I'm wearing a durag to free us from captivity of the Western culture and dictatorship in Africa.
Okay.
That's why I shed my suits. That's why I shed, because I am not free until I'm free. But when will I be free? Is by looking at the preamble of our nation. Is what is written in the preamble really meaningful? Is our national anthem really meaningful? You go and read about sing about Mungu Nguvu Wetu. For what? Then you come to Shujaa celebrations. Who are the people that are being celebrated? Who are the people that are being given gongs today? Look at, it's becoming a joke. And that's why me, as the future president or the intended president of that country, I might be mad at this particular time, but I'm asking Kenyans to re-examine me. We need a calibration of total change. And that's why you see Tanzanians believing in me, Ghanaians believing in me, Mozambicans believing in me, Eritreans, and I'm also currently representing the Tigrays in the conflict between Tigrays and the ruling class in Ethiopia. Why me? But our Kenyans do not look at me. But do I really care? Those who can give me an audience like you have done, those are my brothers.
The number to call, 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. It is Prof. Wajackoyah live on the One Mic Show. Uno Mike.
No, we have a caller, but this one hasn't raised the hand.
He hasn't raised the hand.
Yeah.
So if you want to speak, caller, please press star 5.
9378. You want to speak?
Yeah.
I mean, we could just.
Yes.
They've raised the hand.
They've raised their hand. Okay. All right. Yeah. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Is a caller.
9378.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling from, caller.
Yes, my name is Soy from Germantown. I'm your neighbors, guys.
Soy, karibu sana. Karibu sana.
Soy. Increase volume yako low kidogo.
Yeah.
Ama ni
Is it our volume on our side?
No, it's I think it's on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for...
Aya, speak a bit up to kusikia
can you hear
vizuri.
me, guys?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We can hear you.
This is Soy-
Unaweza ingia kwa bafu
Soy
uhepe
from
boss.
Germantown.
Hepa boss yako, ingia kwa bafu.
Nishaingia kwa bafu.
Okay.
Sawa, aha.
Aya, talk to us, Soy.
This is so this is for Professor Wajackoyah.
Mhm.
I like that he's a free thinker. That's number one.
Mhm.
I have a question for him. So he has all these ideas. He knows Kenya has different ethnic communities, different ethnic societies. We used to have different republics, different ways of culture. So how can are we using capitalism or socialism in his manifesto? So he wants to disband the whole system, right? So how can he also convince people this is the way forward? Another question is, when are we meeting you as Gen Zs in DC? I would like to talk to you more about all this. Yeah, maybe we can have a 420 session. So this was just my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Soy.
Nice for you to.
Thank you very much.
On
You
being
didn't
on
say
this
your name,
platform.
but I'll
Thank you
assume
very
you're a
much.
Kenyan. And
Soy.
Yeah, Soy. Soy is his name.
Soy.
Yeah, so stay tuned. Prof is gonna give you an answer.
Yeah, Soy, thank you very much. You
Okay.
you asked a question which was an individualistic question, not a collective question. When you said, "How am I going to
We
convince
have a
Kenyans?"
group. We have a group. So we usually discuss about capitalism or socialism. We want to see the best way we can help our people back home, because if we want to structure a new government, we need proper structure that will help people from Nyanza, northeastern coast, Rift Valley, and also embracing our past cultures, not embracing the colonial culture. So, yeah, I'd really like to pick your mind on this subject. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. You asked two questions. I'll go to the answer straight away. The first question you asked about
Thank you, sir.
how can you, Wajackoyah, convince people? I think that
Yes.
is a negative no to me. I believe in collective
I'm
responsibility.
sorry.
I believe in generic, it affects me. I believe in generic responsibility, where I want Kenyans to come themselves as enshrined in the preamble. We, the people, that physiology is very, very important. We, like what Nyerere did, sisi ni wa Tanzania, sisi hatuna ukabila.
Sisi.
Yes. So the issue of how do I convince people does not relate to my philosophy. My philosophy is a collective communitarian responsibility, which will come later on in our manifesto if I will be discussing about regionalization of our country so that you can take services to the people through the regional and counties enshrined in the regional, the Indian style. So the issue of capitalism and socialism does not arise at all, because capitalism has got its founders and socialism has got its founders and Africanism has got its own people. African mythology is designed to good neighborhood, brotherhood. It's a brotherhood. It's like Islam. It's a brotherhood kind of
Yes.
a communitarian mythology, which in Africa is found within the language barriers. If I'm a Kikuyu, I have my customs to follow. Kikuyu is my language. I believe in me, which is excellent. I'm a Luya. We do certain rights and regulations and what have you, and then a little bit of modernization comes in through the West. I hate the word modernization because it's a word which makes us look inferior to the other race that colonized us. If you look at if you look at their language of modernization, which comes in with sexual orientation behaviors, of which I'm not going to to comment on, and also the individualistic kind of mechanism in the West that it comes in within the brackets of capitalism and socialism. I am not in that. Burkina Faso has just come up, and I'll give you that example and end it there. If you look at the land of upright people, Burkina Faso, under Sankara and 35 years later under Captain Traore, what is it that has made Burkina Faso a duty-free state, an industrialized nation to the World Bank Index? It is the fourth, is the fifth most advancing country after Bangalore in India. Why? So we have to shed this yoke. I know most people will say that this man is mad, it's too much of theories and what have you. But theories.
No. I like your perspective. That's why I had to engage. I saw this comment. I said I have to engage you, and thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Soy. Like when Wajackoyah is next coming back to the US, we are gonna discuss, like how, because the people are already asking.
You guys can invite him.
Yes.
Or
you guys.
Wamesema the Gen Zs, because
Yes.
he said he wanted the Gen Zs want to engage with him.
Yes. So
When can we meet? We in DMZ area. We'd like to engage you some more.
Yes. So we'll talk about that after the show, Soy. And then we'll see, what's available, what's possible. We'll talk about that later. Again, thank you so much, Soy, for calling the One Mic Show. Again,
thank you very much, Professor Wajackoyah. And I'm here. Thank you for everything, man.
Okay.
And welcome.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Afro-Jamaican is saying sometimes we have to do things even if people laugh at you. All the greats were laughed at. So that's a comment coming there from Afro-Jamaican. And of course, a lot of comments here coming in on YouTube. Please call in if you have a question, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. And then I can see Goodyear saying, if one has been a refugee in exile, how are you going to lead a country you're running from a country you're running from due to political prosecution? I think he meant persecution. Well, I think you came back to Kenya. It was a while back. It wasn't recently.
2012.
2012, yeah. So you've been back in Kenya for a while.
I live in Kenya.
You live in Kenya, yes. So that's a good point. That's a point to note there, a good year. And then the other question was, at what moment, while you were still in exile, did you feel that this is the turning point? Because a lot of people came to know you before elections 2022, but I saw an interview that you did with Mutegi Njau. I think it was back in 2011 or 2012, a very old interview.
2012.
Yes, where, you had not started wearing the durag, you did not have the beard.
He had a suit.
He had a suit.
Yeah.
You still had a suit on. And you were already talking about running for president. Actually, Mutegi Njau was interviewing you about running for president. So at what point in exile, because I'm sure this is a thought that may have come to your mind while you were still outside. At what point, what is it that made you turn and decide that I want to be the president of Kenya? Prof.
Actually, it was in those days when we were agitating for freedoms in Africa, when we called in Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, Dr. Liki, Denis Akumu, and other freedom fighters, including Johannes Savimbi the late Johannes Savimbi from Angola. I looked at the possibilities of fighting for the country without necessarily becoming the president. I looked at our brothers and sisters who only talked too much and did very little. Yet some of us were actually extending ourselves and volunteering, going into these countries and coming out. And of course, I also played a big role with the Mungiki issue when we smuggled Wariungi to Mozambique with a Portuguese passport.
Wow.
And then from Mozambique, we took him to Angola because of the way the Kikuyu communities were losing their young ones during Moi's time, when the young Kikuyu males were being killed to depopulate them by Moi, and then their girls being raped in Nakuru, Bahati in Nakuru, so that they could annihilate them. So that was the turning point, because I was practicing in London and we were fighting for democracy. And here in my country, bodies were being found in Ngong Forest, and there was that general genocide on one tribe, the Kikuyus. And then I came up with this slogan while at SOAS: you kill one Kikuyu, 10 are born. Because these are people who are ordained by God. People of the mountain. That's how we used to call them. And then I became very famous. And when I was practicing law, a lot of Kikuyus came in, and we designed a method of seeking asylum for them, advising them on what to do. It was at that particular time that I saw a vacuum. It was that particular time that I was
and what year was this approximately?
These are many years ago, when I was in England.
Okay.
90s, early 90s.
Oh, wow.
Early 90s, yes.
Yeah.
And it was that particular time that I was Jaramogi Oginga Odinga's food tester when he came to London, when he was being pursued by the system.
Wow.
And it was at that particular time that I was Raila's bodyguard in London. Anytime Raila came, tulikuwa tumejitolea. So I saw the need of bridging in a gap because of the massacres that were taking place in our country. And I also looked at myself and I said, why can't I just die? Why can't I wear combat and go and kill somebody to free our people? So it was not because I wanted to be the president, but situations forced me to. So it was not until when I went to a Kenyan church now to declare in Southern California, San Bernardino, that I stood up and I told the pastor, because I wanted to go home, I've been in exile for a long time. When they called and said, who has ushuhuda? Mi nikasimama. So akasema, okay, nikasema pastor, mi nataka kwenda kuwa president wa Kenya. So when they threw me at the church, that's when I went back to Kenya. So it's something that was there. It was not something that I wanted. It was something that was in blood because of the necessities at that particular time.
You are thrown out of church?
Yes, the Kenyan pastor threw me out. But
Oh.
yeah, I'm saying, because it was impossible to imagine that one would be a president those particular days. So by you saying it in the church and him hearing without taking action, then his family will be in trouble.
He's also that's how bad Kenya was for the younger people who are watching.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, this is wow. These are stories that a lot of people are hearing for the first time.
Uenda wazimu wake.
Is there a book?
This is.
Yes.
So I did ask him about a book.
Okay,
and
so
what did you tell me about the book?
I told you to come in 1996.
In
but
22,
anyway,
you said
20 something.
You said some. Yes, you.
Yeah, but
he gave a very long date. Huko.
Yeah, but
meaning wait.
And it's approaching.
Yeah.
But the book is coming. The book is coming. I was waiting to graduate from my second PhD,
Okay.
so that I could have a full coverage on that black cover for my achievements.
So when you work out the letters after your name, you add extras.
Yes, 17.
Wow, 17 degrees.
Unaona ujaluo.
You can read my degrees. They're there.
Unaona ujaluo.
Dedicated.
That is
dedicated from Baltimore University here, from wherever. I've been here.
Okay, wow. So you've been studying a lot. Now,
Yes.
the other thing is that you also stayed in exile for a very long time.
Yes.
And the one thing that I've always been curious about, a Kenyan who's in exile and is in that position that you cannot go to Kenya, back to Kenya right now. What is it that is different between you and someone like us who came here and we knew we could go back anytime, we could just buy a ticket and go back? What is it that goes through your mind? Because 20 years, that is a pretty long time.
It was more than 20 years.
More than 20 years, yeah. That's a pretty long time. to be away and to be away from home.
You see, my brothers, I have to say without any fear of conviction that when I was in exile, I became nameless, I became humanless, I became boneless, I became a caricature, a person without destination, foundation, futuristic, future, or what have you. Kenyans were giving me mayhem because of that regime. But what consoled me was the Sudanese, the Southern People's Liberation Army, the SWAPO in Namibia, because most of those fellows were in exile at the same time with myself, and also the Ugandan exilees in London. Some of them were telling me that they have been there forever. Even their kids had been born there.
Yes.
For me, I was there, given the fact that I came from nowhere. I never saw my mom until I was 55 years old.
What?
Yes, because she was divorced when I was nothing, small.
Okay.
I never had a future in Kenya. I only had one sister. And when I was a street boy in Nairobi, the amount of rape my sister went through was
Wow. I mean, this is not easy. Yeah. And like sometimes, like we see your image, and this is why I like the fact that you agreed to come here, because mentally we discussing amongst ourselves, we're like, we want to peel back what's behind this image.
But we didn't.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't know.
Yeah, there are things you don't know and you don't see.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's something that Wajackoyah has been touching on. He said he was in exile. How many people do you know who left Kenya on exile? As I guess went away and then went back and were able to assimilate back and can now come back and talk to us about that period.
Yeah.
It's leaving your home, leaving everything behind, and unahepa kwako as like a thief in the night.
Wow.
That's what happened, right?
Yeah, and that's why I cried, and I still cry for Raila's death, because Raila gave me a lot of consolation. Raila used to hold my hand, and he liked lager. So we'd go into a pub in London.
You mean Uji?
Yes, he liked Uji.
Yeah, is it Uji?
Uji.
It's called
Yes,
Uji.
Uji.
Yeah.
Uji.
Uhuru said that.
Yeah, with Uhuru said.
Yeah. So we would go and sit down, and then he would talk about his life in prison. And I looked at myself and I said, if this man has gone through this in prison, then I was okay. Raila gave me a lot of consolation. And that's why you see, even when he joined the broad-based government and the other fellows decided to go their way, I stuck by Raila silently.
Yes.
Because that man nurtured me. That man sang for me songs of freedom when he was in detention, in incarceration. So I looked at myself and I said, here I am in heaven. Come on, grave digging and what have you is nothing. So Raila gave me the courage that I have today by consoling me while I was in exile.
Wow. I mean, that is that's another part of the story.
Autobiography.
Yeah. So yeah, and now, and I think we're gonna get to talking about, now that Raila is gone, what's gonna happen in 2027. We're gonna be talking about elections later on. And Goodia, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for appreciating us.
Wow, this is the first time we've seen this happen.
No,
right?
it's not the first time Goodia is doing it.
Oh,
Goodia has done it before.
I missed it?
You missed it, yeah.
Where
you
was
missed
I
it.
that day?
I wasn't even aware that this was an option available.
I'm on YouTube.
But
not on YouTube, so I'm on Facebook. So
yeah. So Goodia, thank you so much.
And Goodia, I didn't realize that Goodia was not in the US.
Yes, Goodia is not in the US because that is showing in sterling pounds. So I did not know that people could appreciate you financially. So that we appreciate that so much, Goodia. Thank you so much. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Once again,
We have a caller.
Oh, we have a caller.
Ha.
Okay, all right.
I think it's good you're appreciating us with the call.
Okay, let's go to the caller first before we proceed.
Uno momento.
Okay.
Did they do star 5 to speak
Yeah.
and then their hand came up, or it was their leg? Oh, sorry.
0052. 0052. Please.
Yeah, and please reduce your volume. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
All right. So my name is Ogola. I'm calling from Boston. And currently, I live in Boston. But I'm currently in Manhattan.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Talk to us, Ogola.
Yeah. So thank you for the wonderful discussion with Professor. Professor is one person I really admire, and I'm really rooting for you and the Roots Party. And all indications are very clear. The future is really bright for Prof, and the people, the Republic of Kenya is fully support such kind of minds. Professor, I have a question for you, and thank you for your courage. And you've been provoking leadership in our political space. As a Kenyan living out here in the U.S., I'm really more interested in the future of the country. And as we move towards 2027 elections, I would like to ask you, Prof, what are some of these practical or sustainable strategies that you plan to deploy in order to improve our economy that is still struggling, so that we can move from a third world country to somewhere close to the first world. I know it may not be possible to move to a first world country within 5 years or so, but you should have some strategies towards building the economy and even just to empower the youth. What are some of the plans you have to strengthen the national security? Because Kenya is becoming like a hub. It's a technology hub, but also a hub where we have terrorists crossing the borders. Our borders are pretty much open. And so people can come into Somalia, get Kenyan passport and move to the U.S. And when they commit criminal activities in the U.S., they see they're Kenyans. So we are really looking at the security of our country to be strengthened. And so what is the plan when it comes to these three things: economy, youth empowerment, and jobs for the many youth who are currently just, the only job that they're looking for is to get a phone, an iPhone, and maybe a ring light, and they can only be online. That's the only job that they have, which is not a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's really good because they're being entrepreneur. They can create jobs and spaces for themselves, which is a great thing, and they've been able to earn a living through that. But how can we empower them so that they can benefit more from the resources of the government in terms of supporting them, like with internet as a service, or providing those things that will protect the Kenyan online entrepreneurs so that they can earn more money from their investments in terms of their productions and what they put online, rather than forcing them to go into white-collar jobs. So also just something, if you can touch on the infrastructure development.
Okay, Ogola, let's first address, that first question so that we do not miss the point. And then I think you need to reduce your volume on your side because we can hear you. There's some background, we can hear feedback. So if you can reduce, the volume of the gadget you're using. So Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Ogola. I hope you are okay. I'm sure you are in Manhattan. That question is, it requires me a whole lecture, probably 4 hours for me to explain myself, because it's a complete blueprint. But I'll summarize in the following manner. Number one, diaspora involvement. The Philippines have 4 cabinet secretaries in charge of the diaspora. Wow. We have one for the Middle East, one for Saudi Arabia, one for the United States, and one for the Asia in general. The amount of money they generate, the amount of brain gain and brain drain policies that they have made the Filipinos very, very successful. So that will be a case study. Number two, issues of corruption and accountability. The Roots Party government intend to violate the constitution by doing away with some part of those constitution, and then having a people-driven government, whereby hanging those who steal public resources will be the order of the day. We shall borrow leave from China, whereby if you are found guilty of corruption in China, you are hanged. There's no appeal. You can appeal to God, but you are given rights up to the highest court in that particular country. Number 3, legalization and commercialization of marijuana farming. I didn't want to come to this because that was a discussion for another time, but I'll just touch on it. 50 kgs of hemp, 50 kgs of hemp, according to Toronto Stock Exchange, $305 million US. That's 50 kgs of hemp. Hemp grows for 4 months. You don't need to fertilize it, and you don't need to insecticide it. The youth will be given an opportunity to venture into that through regulatory mechanisms. Education reform to bring in whatever it takes so that we can empower young men and women, Gen Zs, with affordable skills so that people can become independent entrepreneurs. Issues of reliance and dependency theory. We want to move Kenya from a begging nation to a working nation. That means we have to struggle and have take punitive measures that the West might look at as dictatorship or human rights abuse. We shall have to come into this. Foreign labor and local empowerment, dividing Kenyans into regions, and I'll give you that in the following way. We need 8 regions in that country and leave counties within regions. We need to give autonomy, industrial autonomy to the regions, so that if, for example, Narok County, which is within Rift Valley, produces wheat for commercialization, tourism for commercialization, meat, hides and skins. It's also a water catchment area, and it's a human resource area. So if Narok County Assembly, whether it will be municipal, according to the new structures that we shall put in place, should first of all sit down and appropriate the funds they have taken in as revenue and prioritize the needs of Narok County in terms of education, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of peace and security. Whatever monies that are appropriated, the people of Narok will have to agree as to how much will go into Narok County. And then they will also have to agree as to how much will go to the state government in Nakuru or wherever the capital will be, or Eldoret. And it will be the Eldoret State Council, that State Assembly, that will decide on which monies have come from which regions or which counties. And then they will also do a debate, pass legislation, and then apportion some monies to the central government in Nairobi or Isiolo, as we intend to shift the capital city to Isiolo. Now, if it comes to issues of instrumentalities, and I know you asked about employment, then we shall come up with the code highways system, whereby if you have any fundamental instrumentalities coordinating from one state to another state, then we shall have double taxation, create employment, and create viable institution. So this goes on and goes on and goes on. And I will not want to go into details, but don't forget that we shall have a 4-day working structures like what has been adopted in Belgium, where people can work for 4 days, work on shifts, and get paid every 2 weeks. We can also have infrastructure with marine and blue economy, because we have lakes that have fresh air, fresh waters. We have minerals in Kenya. We have soil that we can use, and then snake farming and alternative exports. Then we can also go to Assamese. You know, China has a lot of medals in Olympic Games, because they have a lot of activities that other countries do not have. But Kenya has more activities than China. We have night runners. That's an activity which is actually within our mythology. We have snake charmers, where we get old women at home charming a poisonous snake and dancing with it. And in fact, in India, they have legalized that. Snake charmers in India and tourist attraction. Then you have also a role of widows, single mothers, who do not have any kind of help from the government, issues of health, issues of taxation. So we shall lobby land this so that if somebody is coming for tourism, he doesn't just come for animals alone. He can go to designated areas like Luo Nyanza in Homa Bay, where even you have an association of night runners, so that they can go and see, visualize, think of how to catch this man when he's in the act. Just like when they are going to Amboseli, they have to drive around to look for animals or to see where they are. We have, and snake production is also very key. Snake production is very key. We have hides and skins that make our women beautiful, handbags, jackets, belts for men, and shoes. We have snake venom, which is very expensive. Every what is it? One ounce of snake venom is $6,000 US. Now, because of pharmaceutical monopoly, African countries are not allowed to manufacture snake venom. It's only in South Africa where Pfizer does that. What they don't understand, or we don't understand, is when you are bitten by a snake, you need a snake to heal you, snake venom. So we can actually have places like Kitui County, Baringo County, and Kilifi County, where we have so many snakes that can be tamed to produce venom that we can export and have another source of income, a stream of income. On the other hand, also, we can also look at the Gen Z mindset and also move Kenyan capital to Isiolo because of proximity to Ethiopia, the North-South Corridor, Somalia, Sudan, so that we can have the produce produced in the mountain to be exported when fresh from Isiolo International Airport, so that we can have Nairobi remain as a business city. Tanzania has moved its city to Dodoma, Nigeria moved to Abuja, and so forth. But the fundamental issue is talked about is the Somali issue. Me, I understand it in the following way. And let's call a spade a spade. The entire northeastern was part of Somaliland. Great Somaliland. It was Somalia. When the colonialists came and demarcated that place, they made those people captive for many, many years. And on this one, I'm going to thank Ruto on this one for coming out openly, notoriously, and publicly, and giving the Somali members of the Somali community indigenous rights that they were denied during independence.
Yes.
And also recognizing them as part of Kenya. So when we come to these stereotypes of saying, oh, Somalis are coming in Kenya, Somalis are doing this and that, that is nonsense. Imagine these people have been fighting for their sovereignty. What if they decided under the Constitution today that they want to be independent? What if they went, because the Constitution allows them to have a referendum? So for me, Somalis are Kenyans, those who are in Kenyan side, though they have lived in captivity for so many years, we need to reparate them. We need them to be recognized and given full rights. And I thank Ruto for having recognized them and given them serious jobs in government and infrastructure. That one I agree with Ruto, though I don't agree with him in any other manner.
And let me pause you for a moment then, and Ogola, we're gonna give you a minute to react to what Prof said. This Somali issue, we have addressed it, and
I don't think exhaustively, because
not exhaustively,
because there's a lot of
there's a lot of dishonesty, and there's also a lot of stereotyping, political stereotyping. like
I think that's the majority of it.
Yeah, for me personally, I do not support Ruto. And that's one area where we align with you. I do not support Ruto, but on this one issue, because a broken clock, it's right 2 times a day. So this is one of those 2 times a day that, and I don't know whether Kenyans understand this, because it's become so easy for Kenyans to say, Hawale wa Somali, look at what they're doing
to point the finger.
Eastleigh.
Point the finger.
Yeah, look at they're taking over our city.
Folks forget the time when they were being rounded up and put into stadiums.
Exactly.
And
that's very recently.
Like concentration camp.
That is very recently.
In our lifetime.
Yes, that's very recently.
In our lifetime.
Yes. So I think people need to get over their personal feelings, and they need to understand that Somalis are Kenyans, and Northeastern Province is part of Kenya. I always tell people, you see this beautiful map of Kenya that we love, that we look at. Imagine how it would look like Prof said. What if they decided, what if they decided to, in a referendum, to secede? And the interesting thing is that there was an actual referendum before independence, but that's a story for another day. What if they decide, would you like the map of Kenya as is? As it is, that portion in itself is almost 10 to 12%
below your horn
of the size of Kenya. So I think this is one area I am glad Prof has spoke publicly about it, because I've spoken about it so times, and I very easily get like you say, caricatured because of my name. I'm not even Somali, but I'll very easily get caricatured. Huyu hapo anasema hivyo because hao ni Waislamu wenzao. But I think people do not understand, what xenophobia is, and what it is when you start saying how a Somali,
and especially when it's been practiced on you. Ali, how many times have you been profiled?
I know.
Even in this country, coming in at the various airports, until you had to complain.
Yes.
When you are what do they do? Double S.
So I can understand this country.
Yes.
But the profiling that comes from other Kenyans,
but after all, you're Ali.
Yeah,
I mean, after all, you're Ali. You must be nini. Kwanza na ungeongeza masharubu.
Yes. So that's right there. That's right there.
Come as a prof.
That right there is a very painful part.
That's it.
But I think one of the biggest mistakes that we've made, as Kenyan Muslims, is just be quiet about it. But that's changing.
Mamdani has taught you different.
Yeah, but that's been changing in Kenya.
It has been changing.
Yeah, but even here,
in Kenya.
You remember the guy who was here in the Baltimore convention? What's his name? That guy?
You're talking about Sean King. Is it called?
No, the other guy.
Yasir Kadhi. Yes.
I don't know. I wouldn't say they're radical, but they're saying, "Hey, we are here and we're going nowhere."
Yes, absolutely. And I think
that is one. Yeah. But I think also, some of those people who have those sentiments have not had an opportunity probably to even sit down and interact. And when I say interact, like have a deep relationship with.
Anyway, let's give Steve Ogola. We took over Steve Ogola.
Sorry, yeah.
Steve Ogola, we're going to give you another minute, and then we're going to continue.
Is he still on the call?
Ogola going once. Yes. Is he still on the call?
Yeah, still there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We'll give you one minute, and then we'll continue with the show. Ogola.
Thank you, Prof, for your wonderful response. I really appreciate you, digging into those insights, and the team at the team in DC. Just to clarify, what I really was looking for when it comes to the question about the border and the Somalia. I know that there are Kenyan Somali who are born in Kenya, they are raised in Kenya, and they are all Kenyans. They're not Somalians, and they should not be referred to as Somalians or Somalis because they are Kenyans. But then I also understand that there is the border is currently kind of open, so we have people who are fighting in Somalia, but they are coming to sleep in Kenya. They're crossing the border, and they've used some of the facilities like the schools to settle down. And when they go fighting, they go back to the Somaliland to go fight with the terrorists and the other groups there. So the other reason why I was bringing this up is that there is an office in Nairobi which is financed by the government actually. That is actually issuing ID cards to people who have not even set foot in Kenya yet, but they're still in Somalia, and they're given IDs upon arrival. So they prepare the ID cards for them, and this is somebody working in Attorney General's office or in the Registrar of Persons where they register people. You pay 100,000 Kenya shillings and you get an ID card. By the time you get to the border, you already have a Kenyan ID and you're Kenyan. But in real sense, these are people who are not really born Kenyan. I know there is also Luos who live in Kenya. We have Luos in Tanzania. We have those Luos in Tanzania are not Kenyans. They are Tanzanians. We have Luos in Uganda. Those are Ugandans. And so I understand that we are all from the same communities, but we span across different borders that were drawn by these people who colonized us. But Professor, you did so well answering that. Maybe just one follow-up again regarding the marijuana. I know you talked about marijuana and the need to legalize this in your manifesto last year or in the last election. What are some of the things that you're planning to, to ensure that there is ethical use of marijuana and, legitimately people who really are allowed to use it are going to follow the correct legal frameworks to ensure that not everybody will have access to marijuana?
First of all, before I go on that question, let me retreat a little bit because this is a Kamkuji.
Yes.
And I wouldn't want to take a lot of time, but what I want to let you know, brother, is that let us try to be minimal with the boundaries and borders. And that's why we are fighting for Africa to be under one umbrella, one boundary. And that's why the AU is also fighting so that we remove this issue of borders completely so that we don't say this is a Samia from Kenya, this is a Samia from Uganda, this is a Luo. These borders divided us against our will. But when it comes to Somalis, what you have talked about that office in Nairobi, I have no idea. If it's there and it's operational, probably it's an illegality. But during the campaign, when I was when I was campaigning, I said one thing about Islam and Muslims. Before I go even on the Somali issue, I said that Muslims are defrauded of their monumental religious rights by the Constitution. And therefore I came up with a proposition that if the Seventh-day Adventists have a Saturday, the whole of Saturday, and other Christian denominations have Sunday, Muslims must also be given, must, not may, Friday, so that they can either choose to do what they want to do with it, because that is religious tolerance, regardless whether they are minorities or not.
That is interesting.
Now, when it goes to Somalis getting IDs, a Somali child, it was very difficult for a Somali child to get an ID during colonial times, during Kenyatta's regime, the first Kenyatta, Moi's regime, Kibaki's regime, and even the second Kenyatta's regime. Somebody was told to bring his mother, his father, a letter from sub-chief. Somebody was told to bring the grandmother, the mother of the grandmother, the great-great-grandmother of grandmother. Somebody was told to go to see district commissioner to get consent just to be registered as a Kenyan. And I came up and said that if the law says that a Kenyan has a right, fundamental right to get an ID, which is not a privilege, the law should squarely treat every Kenyan on the face of it, does it. Somalis have suffered so much when it comes to IDs, and most of their families ran to Somalia. Because Somalia was a star, greater Somalia, including the north frontier of Kenya. And you have no legitimate authority to go and lecture others because of that frontier. It was their land. They believe it was their land. Colonialism came in, divided people, and there's nothing we can do about it. So if they are saying that now they're coming in and getting this with this euphoric illusion, this speculative euphoric illusion of hate, in brackets, of stereotypes, that these are Somalis, they are crossing here. What about Ugandans? The other day I was in court. There were 47 Ugandans that had been arraigned in court for deportation. And then the lawyer stands up in court and says that these people should be deported. I stood on my feet to ask the court so that I could get consent of those 47 girls so that I could give them proper legal advice. East African Community and IGAD has no language of deportation, but it has a language of removal. And everybody who knows immigration law goes to that particular level. Now, when it comes to the issue of ganja, as it's called in Swahili, or hemp, Uganda has legalized. It has rules and regulations. Tanzania is in the process of legalizing. Zimbabwe did, Malawi did. So it's not really a very big thing about regulating. Ganja has been there as a source of moral partaking in some of the communities. It has been there for healing purposes. But issues of regulation, yes, we have this Christian mentality that weed is bad. If you go to Genesis 1:29, you'll get the language of holy herb. If you look at Moses, when he was going to the mountain, he could not see God directly because he was suffering from leprosy. But there was smoke and fire between Moses and God. Nobody has carried up a phenomenological research to find out whether that fire was actually from ganja or from where. So regulating the industry is not a big deal because Israel today depends on hemp. Israel's production and industries depend on armaments that are manufactured from hemp. The heavy artillery, small weapons, the tanks, road building, construction industry, food manufacturing, production of oranges, because Israel is the biggest exporter of orange. It's all the byproducts of hemp. So it can be regulated, and it's the only means that will make us come out of this debt. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Steve Ogolla. Asante sana. We have to continue with the show.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve, for
Thank
calling.
you, Ogolla.
Yes, again, the number to call is 202-683-4570.
You are the last party.
Press *5 to speak. I mean, those are so many things that we've been able to unpack within that segment. So thank you again, Steve Ogolla, for the questions.
No, I was going to say, I think there's still a lot. There's so much that is we don't know. Like now, for example, the Somali issue. I think most of us that are against it argue from an emotional angle.
So I'll tell you this,
right?
And I'm speaking from because this vetting thing was imposed upon Somalis, and the rest of us Muslims were catching strays. And if you talk to any Muslim family, they will tell you that this is normal. It's been so normal. Like my almost met my family, like my uncle, like who was getting his ID back in the early 70s. Like it
hasn't changed, right?
It's such a normal thing.
Yeah.
Like that when I turned 18,
you already knew the routine.
And no, first of all, mimi when I turned 18, like nimemaliza skuli, then I said I'm gonna go by myself to Kibra. To go get an ID, and people are looking at me like, are you crazy? You think they're gonna give it to you? So me, I was like, let me go and see what's gonna happen. So the interesting thing when I went there, because they tell you what the documents are required: school leaving certificate and birth certificate, and I had both documents. So when I went there, I mean, these guys were literally shocked that I was there by myself, because I started asking, uko na nani? I was like, no, nimekuja kuchukua ID. Then a very interesting thing, someone came and told me, wewe kwanza ni Mgazija. Like Mgazija is someone from the Comoros Islands. And I'm like, wow.
Wait, you're a Gazija?
I was like, this is the first time someone has ever told me.
So this was based upon your Babdawi name? Or the fact that you're Ali?
I don't know what it was based on. And Badawi is a name you'll find from Malindi going down through Lamu.
No, ndio najaribu kuuliza, because that might be the connection.
Me kwanza, I was shocked. But what I came to understand is that that's the way of telling you, hapa hakuna kitu unaweza pata. You have to
bring other things.
You have to bring other things, or you have to come, like with an envelope. And that was my first interaction with Kenya at age 18. You know, like unajua unasikia corruption nini, but that was my first interaction with it. Then when I was going home is when now my uncle is telling me of his stories in the 70s. That's when, you know, like, and this thing is so normal that people are saying that these Somalis need to be vetted. And I'm like, do you know, because there's this xenophobic idea that, first of all, that they're the ones who are responsible for all the attacks that have been there in Kenya. And what I always tell people, anyone who has bad intentions, do you think it's an ID they need to commit, you know, like an atrocity?
Things, no.
So this thing to me is so personal. I'm sorry, I am digressing, but I'm glad it was addressed by someone else, and especially by Prof.
Let me say this. I think when Prof was talking about how when that issue was addressed, it opens my eye to how white Americans here will see somebody who is not white and tell them, go back to your country.
Yes.
Not knowing that that person
Yeah.
is a citizen.
Exactly.
Probably even, not even, born here, raised here.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Especially
how
Mexicans.
many Kenyans have actually thought, here they are very anti-Trump and the ICE and what they're doing to immigrants, you know. But in Kenya they would probably be like Wasomali warudi kwako.
Yeah.
And I think there's a huge disconnect.
There's a huge disconnect, and there's a
huge
parallel
disconnect.
There's a parallel to what's happening, whereby they're mad when white people tell them that here, but they're very casually doing it in Kenya.
Unbeknownst to them, because, you know, and it's, you know, talk about like now Minneapolis with all that.
Yes.
You know, and you're like, have we said? Because again, sometimes even history.
And you see, Soya was talking about, you know, like being from Marsabit County and being from those northern counties. You know, those places you go, and I advise Kenyans to travel there.
That's another thing. Kenyans don't travel.
It used to be very easy to find
I'm
someone
one of
who's 29 years old, and they've never gotten an ID. They've been fighting to get an ID.
First of all, you know,
without
the
an ID.
vetting process in border towns.
Does Mika have an ID?
I think he has, but he must have paid somebody.
Amalivuka border.
I think because he's close to border, unless mimi ndio CLA.
Now,
but watu wa border, they are vetted same way kama vile umesema.
Now,
watu wa border town
but the
people,
vetting for Somalis,
is
yenyu ni extra.
Yes.
It is extra.
So I'm saying yenyu because where you went through it.
It
and
is
you know
extra.
what's interesting?
Yeah.
When Wajackoyah was talking about Somalis and how they are treated and how they are asked for IDs, I said, kwani he talked with Ali before we came to this show? Because he laid it out exactly,
because he knows,
word for word. Vile
Yes.
Ali alikuwa na, and Ali was like, I was told to go get my grandmother.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Or get my grandmother and grandfather, or bring their IDs. Now, assuming that your grandmother and grandfather have passed away, where is their ID? Because mutu akifa, ID stand in. I'm lying. Senior, that's how you get the death certificate. You turn it in, then they give you. Because wanasema imeenda.
Yeah.
But do you know how many times you have to come back and produce that idea mutu ameaga when you're trying to follow up on estate
and then
related
sometimes
things?
if it's the late 90s, you're
Anyway,
getting an
that's that
ID.
story.
It's the late 90s, you're getting an ID, and your grandfather was born in 1920. You know, like
Hata inaweza kuwa 1895.
where are you getting that ID from? Anyway, you know, like not to get
Sorry,
distracted.
let's not digress.
Yeah, not
but
to
it's
get-
But
it's
these are real
important
true things that we are
that
dealing
are
with.
happening,
Yes,
that
on the ground.
that our fellow Kenyans are going through, and no matter and actually, you know, I just wanted to mention how, you remember the show that we had that judge advocate lawyer who was actually breaking down.
Was it during Miguna's
No.
deportation?
This is recent, and I think it was he was addressing the issue of actually it was Fix the Nation, and Eric Latif had somebody, even one of the ladies, who mentioned the process of them going, what they had to do to get an ID.
Yeah, yes, that's right. It's a lady member of parliament. She's a nominated member of parliament, ODM. I can't remember her name. But yeah. Let me read some comments here before we proceed here. Doreen Florence is asking, did Prof ever get a chance to read Absolute Power, Anguka's book? You'll tell us later on, Prof. And then Washeke is saying, look at how some of us were making derogatory comments about Baba's mourners. And then Afro-Jamaican here is saying, people use bang now in Kenya, people won't start smoking because it's legal. Canada legalized weed and nothing happened. People need to relax. And then Washackoyah says the Northern Frontier issue is similar to what Mexicans face in border states of Texas, New Mexico, Arizona. These lands were theirs originally, which is also very true. And then, of course, there were so many comments coming in here. Like one of the comments that I was trying to see, I think we've lost it. Gudia was saying, thank you guys for acknowledging our brothers and sisters. It's sad to see Kenyans practice tribalism, clanism, and internationalism. And then F. Ndege is saying the border is very porous. And then Soy is saying, thanks for accepting this on NFD issue. And then FDEG is asking, so we should just let anyone come in and get IDs, lol, okay? Yeah, and this is the casual nature that I think this issue has been treated with for a long time.
I don't think that a lot of us understand that whole thing.
No, we don't.
When you lay
we
it out,
don't.
Yeah.
Remove the politicizing of it.
But you see, the problem, Omosh, is that some people are not dedicated to knowing the truth.
Okay.
They're dedicated to sticking to what
so if this
if
this came from a non-politician, then would they take it now as something that needs to be done because this is for a community that is being marginalized?
Yeah, one thing I learned is that sometimes you have to let people just stay where they are, because this information now is available online to anyone who is honest and genuine on wanting to know the truth. Gudia was saying, if Nege, that's not what we are saying. Somalians are also part of our society and development, majority born bred in Kenya. Why overvet them? Would you appreciate if you were overvetted? And then here I think I have Sadada said, and God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. I want to remind the listeners, I tuned into the One Mic Show. I'm your host and producer, Ali Badawi. We are talking to presidential candidate and Roots Party of Kenya leader, Professor George Luchiri Wajackoyah. He just broke down, his economic vision, from the power of Bangi exports to the symbolism behind snake farming and that controversial 4-day work week. He has also talked about that. But now we want to shift gear to the Roots Party on the ground in Kenya. Does it have any elected officials? Is it fielding any candidates in the upcoming by-elections? We want you to stay tuned to find out that. We'll also dive into how the party is connecting with the Gen Z and why Wajackoyah says that the Gen Zs are not a one-size-fits-all generation. And also, as the nation still mourns Raila Odinga, we'll hear what he personally meant to Prof. Wajackoyah and what his absence means for the Kenya's elections in 2027. And not forgetting, we'll wrap up with a big one. Is Wajackoyah running for president again, or will he form an alliance this time? Our lines are open. Number to call, 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. So, Prof, when I come back to you, we digressed a bit there because this has been a very passionate issue here at the People's Kamkunji. But we now want to talk about the future, and let's talk about the Roots Party today. Beyond the bold ideas, what does its presence on the ground look like? Do you currently have any elected officials or candidates in the upcoming by-election? And how active is the party's grassroots network right now? Prof. Wajackoyah, kazi kwako.
Thank you very much. I think that is something that I was waiting for. First of all, what is Roots Party? And what is the slogan?
Tingiza mti.
And what does that mean?
Shake the tree.
So when we started this, I went around the US, I went to India and Canada, trying to find out what would Jesus do if he came back today. So I went to a pastor in Rancho Cucamonga in California, and I expressed my views to him, and I said, look, I need you to answer me a question. What do you think Jesus will do if he came back today? And he was like, that's a very good question. That's a good question. But give me time. Come to church, to my church on Sunday. I went to church on Sunday and I sat there. This man was preaching about Zacchaeus. Then he said things that were very engineered. He said that there were Romans ruling the Jewish people, and they were collecting a lot of taxes. And one of the Jewish tax collectors was Zacchaeus.
Mhm.
This man was very short, fat, with a round, kiuno round.
Fupi nono round.
Mtoto mfupi mround.
Yeah.
Kijana fupi nono round.
And he had actually attained royalty. Because of he had become very rich, attained royalty, and he was in a class of his own. He did not want to commingle or mingle with the rest of the Jewish people. So one day, the issue of Jesus disturbed him a lot. And he said, who is this man who can come and tell us not to pay taxes? Because Jesus had just overturned tables in the temple. You know, Jesus was angry twice, overturning tables in the temple because of corruption, and also rebuking Peter when Peter was chopping off somebody's ear. So this man was preaching, and you're saying that the system at that particular time, like our system in Kenya, was very much against Jesus' teaching, because he was interfering with the status quo, and he was telling people to give Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. So one day when he was walking, Zacchaeus followed him. But because he was so proud to be seen with Jesus, who was a poor man, he climbed on the tree. And Jesus came and looked up and asked him to come down. And when he refused, he shook that tree. And the Zacchaeus fell down. That's where Tingiza Mti came from.
Wow. Tingiza Mti.
Okay. Yeah. That is why the Roots Party was born from that analogy. And then, as if that is not enough, we came up with a proposition that if somebody wanted to run on Roots Party, he would climb on that tree and tell Kenyans why he wanted to run, why he had some kind of wealth, why he was married to 2 wives, where he got that wealth from. That means we are incorporating Chapter 6 of the Constitution of Kenya into our manifesto. Therefore, when it came to elections, and maybe people say I'm a madman, maybe it's true, all the applicants that came, apart from a few, we did not give them a ticket. Because first of all, we told them to go and bring Chapter 6 form,
Okay.
and adhere to Chapter 6 and bring an affidavit. Then we will give them a ticket. Some will come in with money and say, nipatie tu. Kawambia hapana, we have a philosophy we are following. And I can assure you that cost us. It cost me, because I've used almost 50 million monies which I didn't have to make that party stand until today. Money that I had even to work hard for many years when I was practicing law here and in the United States and UK. So we exercised Chapter 6. We refused. We barred a lot of candidates from running, and we built the party. For 10 years, we have been building the party. We fulfilled the Office of the Registrar of Political Parties requirement for party formation. We opened offices, and as we speak now, we are in every county. But our key areas are the youth, the Gen Z youth, which are divided into 4. A lot of people do not know that probably Raila had more Gen Zs and Wajackoyah than the Gen Zs that were coming from the mountain. We have the middle class Gen Zs who are educated, who know exactly what internet is and who can use the internet to get out of oppression and suppression. We have the Gen Zs who have gone to university, they're jobless, and they have taken on manual works. They are in these social industries, like, you know, those who are in border industries and what have you, who are completely jobless, but they have nothing to do. We have my Gen Zs, those who now have given up hope in life, and what they have resorted to is do manual jobs, smoke weed, drink changa, and give up life for good. And those are my supporters. The majority of them are my supporters. And then currently we also have, we are participating in the by-elections.
Mm-hmm.
But Roots Party, the first party since the independence to recall a candidate after giving a certificate. in Malava by-election, we had to recall a candidate when he realized that he had been involved in corruption with the UDA, and that shocked the nation. Right now, we have a candidate in Magarini, Mr. Chadi,
in Kilifi County. Okay.
Who is doing very well. And we are looking forward of having candidates of moral principles. And this is where we are now encouraging the diasporians who want to run to come. We have a party for them. We have a party of integrity. The only problem will be association. Most of the diasporans, when they come home, they say we shall win. We have come from America. We shall do the American way. So we need those who want to run on Roots Party, those in the diaspora who want to run. If they choose our party, we shall run with them.
Ali.
Well, hiyo hapo, the people will decide. But now, because running back home is considered something very scary. And you can understand, like why it would be considered something very scary. There's these notions that you will need a lot of money. Some of the numbers that are being thrown around on how much people are using to run for parliamentary seats, senatorial seats, are very scary numbers. And sometimes people feel like ukiingia hapa and you don't win, you might remain in poverty for the rest of your life. So how is the Roots Party addressing that fear? Because there's a lot of people who have the qualification, they have the integrity, they meet all those Chapter 6 ideals, but there's fear.
Yes. Any person who fears what you have just said is corrupt. Very corrupt, and it's one person I may not want to associate with.
Yes.
We need a degree of nationalism.
Okay.
Tolerance. Go get it and get it working. If you are able to send money at home to help those people at home, why not come home and be like what I did? I have 17 degrees. I've practiced as a lawyer. I'm a professor of law. I have all it takes to remain and to be very comfortable in my own comfortable zone. But I went home, not run for MCA or women rep because I've not changed my sexuality. Not even to run for member of parliament or senate or governorship.
But for president.
I went run for president, and I ran for president, and I got 2.8 million votes, even though the rest is history. So it takes courage. If courageous enough and you come home and you roll your sleeve and eat with the people and live with the people, then you can always make it. Believe in yourself. The well-being of the mind is beingness, meanness, me. What can I do to bring change? Because if you leave this to them people, those people, then you are like feeding corruption. Why would you use a lot of money to convince somebody to vote for you? Wajackoyah doesn't have. I ran for president without a secretariat. I ran, even during the elections, I did not even have a single agent to count my vote.
You didn't have a loose Ali like the way Ali was over here.
He told me he counted my votes.
Yes,
here.
I counted your votes. I was an Azimio agent here in D.C. and we counted you. There are people who, with a few votes, there were Wajackoyah votes.
Yes. Did I have an agent here?
No,
Nothing.
there was no agent.
So you can imagine I running without no penny, and I only had one car, and maybe the benefit I got from the government is to be given security from
because
Genesis. But why did I need to have security for?
The people are your security.
People love where I walk today. Right now, I cannot walk in Nairobi or Mombasa or any urban area. I'm the only one whose pictures are appearing on motor vehicles, motorbikes,
on matatus.
Yeah. Schools have drawn. School kids now know who Wajackoyah is. So people should not fear. They should just come to me. I will go further into politics.
Okay.
But if you come with that issue of, you see a pesa, I will don't bribe nobody. Be like Wajackoyah. I have no money. But people bring money to me. Like today, my team was in Magarini campaigning. And somebody just went in and said, hii ni watu Wajackoyah, chukweni 100,000 today from somebody whom we don't even know.
Wow.
So this is the time, and this is the only time for Kenyans to come back home, link up with Roots Party, come and run if you want to. Lakini usiwe na uoga, na usije na urembo, na usije nyumbani tunaenda kukaa Hilton vile na wananga wengine. You come with a very high profile and you have nothing.
One mic normally does those sorts of things.
Yes, yes,
flipping.
yes, and I think it's good that you're giving people that that confidence, because there's this perception that has been created that unless you have tens of millions or hundreds of millions, you have no business. Like
You can register online, right?
Yes. Registration for Roots is *509#. And you are in if you have a Kenyan number. *509#.
If you're here, but online, let's
Do you have a way of, because I think some Kenyans
Yeah, we have our own system.
Okay.
And because I'm running for president in 2027, this time I started my campaign earlier.
Ali, did you hear that?
Say that again.
I'm running. I've been campaigning for the last... I started campaigning immediately after the elections.
Okay.
And right now I'm in a better position than I was before.
So when you say you're running, it means that are you still open? Because what happens in Kenyan politics is that there are negotiations for coalitions. At the beginning, like everyone is running, but people negotiate around for coalitions. I
think this goes back to Lawrence's question.
Yeah.
Which was looking, is he open to teaming up with other parties? If so, which and not which?
Let me challenge whoever asked that question.
Lawrence.
We are trying to run away from some kind of which word can I use? I'm very good in using word.
Coalition.
Mosquito mindset.
Kutoka, what did he call it? Trash bin or trash can?
Garbage can.
Garbage can.
Yeah.
You have these people who have ruined the country. These people have been in power forever. These people have become what Sifuna calls fossils. People whose mindsets are within the fossil brackets. People who have no change. Their mindset is like Ruto must go in the morning. Lunchtime, Ruto must go. Evening, Ruto must go. But if you look at them, they're in gasless. If you look at them, they cannot come and sit down with you and ask you, Professor Wajackoyah, you are running and you want us to join together. What are your policies? And vis-a-vis, what do we do so that we can put a blueprint together and then leave power later on to whoever we might decide to take the mantle.
Okay.
Right now, people are sitting in boardrooms. People are sitting, are driving on top of vehicles, trying to apportion themselves seats. Then where will Gen Zs and diasporans fit in? You have seen the recent cabinet where it's been said that Kalonzo is going to be the president, Natembea, the vice president, Eugene Wamalwa, Senate Speaker, and
majority
Speaker of the National Assembly.
Yeah.
Who
is Matiang'i in the lineup?
Matiang'i, Prime Minister. Now, for God's sake, why do I have to really waste my time with these people discussing positions instead of discussing issues that are affecting the common mwananchi? People are obsessed with. So to answer that question, I am not and will not enter any coalition with anybody. But you can always look at post-electoral coalition like in Italy and take it from there. Right now, niko kwa debe, na nimejitolea. Whoever is thinking, and there's somebody who was saying, Wajackoyah should be my running mate. Let me make it very clear. Me being your running mate is like me divorcing my wife. How can I be your running mate and I ran for president and I'm proven?
You're tested.
I'm tested.
You're tried and tested.
Money. And now you have been a minister. You've been a governor. You don't want to let go. You want to bring your fossilness to pollute my spirit. It will not happen. I'm running. And I'm running.
Yani Wajackoyah amesema huruma ni?
It's an estate.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no, we are definitely seeing that durag on the ballot.
The way you saw it last time.
Mbele.
Yes.
It's one direction.
Yes.
Forward marching. Backwards never.
They can do what they want. They have tried to bribe me. Lots of money. Trust me, I'll be a millionaire without a name. But where is that money coming from? And the goodness with me is that if you come with your nonsense, I'll address you immediately. So when they came to me, but yeah, if it's Ruto who wants to see me, he has my number. He can call me.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he calls me in State House, I will go, we sit down. But I will ask him to come to my office because I also have an office.
Yes.
I'm a Kenyan, he's a Kenyan.
Yes.
I don't fear. I'm not here to say names of people, but now look at like this composition of the cabinet. Then Gachagua comes and says, and 50% is mine. Really? Is that the Kenyan we want today? Hell no.
You know, Prof,
if you don't have shares in
you know, like
money are shareholders.
This Ruto government, you know, like opened up something that had been a common understanding between these political coalitions, whereby the coalitions was mulikuwa mnagawana positions. If it's ministerial positions, if it's ambassadorial positions, if it's like that was the idea, and it came out in the public because I think Gachagua felt, you know, like he wasn't given his share due, and this was very sad because these coalitions are coming together based on you know, like what positions we can share amongst ourselves rather than what issues that we can solve for Kenyans. That's why I think Raila's death, you know, like of course I think, you know, like God has timing for everything, but I think besides it being the time that God planned, I think it's also symbolic of anything is possible come 2027, because people are tired, Kenyans are tired, you know, like, and for the first time I'm starting to seeing people think about elections differently, and that's why I personally have hope that we might see this disruption that we're looking for. But that said, Prof, the Gen Zs came with a lot of force, and of course you've mentioned that they come in different shapes and forms and sizes and different shades, but there was that momentum that we earlier saw that it kind of, you know, like fizzled out. Looking into 2027, where are you seeing those different groups of Gen Zs you mentioned? With you being on the ground, what direction do you see them taking, and where do you think they're likely to land? Maybe not all their support, but a good part of their support. Prof.
I think to answer that question, I do not want to take credit that they will support me or they will support Kalonzo, what have you. I want them to run. I want them to make their own government.
Yes.
I want them to take IDs and wajitolee, wachague yule mtu anataka, wampigie kura, and I'm okay with that.
Okay.
That this issue of now you see old men like me running around, oh Genesis, wengine wameshuka nywele, wamechoma nywele huko nakaa namna hii. Unakuta anakuja kuambia watu, we are supporting Genesis will support us. Come on. These people brought revolutions. They brought the revolution in Bangladesh, tick. They went to Nepal, tick. They have gone to Madagascar, tick. They are now in Tanzania, and Tanzania, can assure it's going to be a success.
It's coming, and it's just a start.
Tick, and they're coming back to Kenya to finish the job because Kenyans do not have the contents.
What about
they are now
Uganda?
Running from Tanzania. Of course, Uganda is also coming very soon.
Okay.
And it will be tick. So even if we are looking at these elections and what have you, what I can assure you is that in Kenya, there are two things. There is that man who votes, and there is that one who counts. And if that is the formula, my friend, I do not be surprised to note that this kind of talk we are having is just a mimic talk, which is going to end up nowhere. Unless we do something, and unless we come out in large numbers and say no to dictatorship, by force or not by force. Raila did what he did. I was the architect of the previous Maandamano. I brought in the skills I used when we were doing what we were doing while we were in England. And for the first time, Raila came to recognize that I was a human being who had ears and a mindset, which they tapped in. And that worked very well. And I had problems with some of these fellows. Apart from Kalonzo Musyoka, whom I admire, whom I recognize, whom I respect, these other people are fighting for their stomachs. Gachagua has shown it in plain view, even when he came here. I'm not saying anything against him. He's a leader. I respect him. But look at his mental status. How do you own 50% of Kenya? Really? Then let people go for referendum? When you wanataka mlima, kama wanataka, and my Kikuyu brothers will not agree with that, waende referendum ya hiyo mlima, wachukue, alafu wakitaka kuja pande hiyo wapate passport. Watu wa Western pia wafanye hivyo. Because where are we going with that kind of mindset?
Yeah. You know,
what will people from Mombasa, like the MRCs, whose rights have been taken? What about people in Kilifi whose land has been taken, the land issue? What about Taita Taveta? What about people who own land, the Kenyatas who own almost the land equivalent to Kisumu County? Come on, let us come up and let us try to do. Let's not glorify people who have stolen from us. Let us not come in and say, oh, Kalonzo will win, so and so will win, Raila will win. These people wamekula, wameshiba. Let there be a discussion among the young people to chart the way for their future.
Wow, you know, and that's a discussion, you know, that I'm really waiting for, and I'm very optimistic about. But coming back here to the diaspora as we come to a close, you know, there's Kenyans here in the diaspora, many of whom, you know, they just send money home, but still remain very politically disconnected. How can they link the American lives to Kenya's next chapter beyond just remittances? Because, you know, now Kenyans out here are very conscious. I'm seeing people who never used to, you know, like ask about Kenyan politics. They're doing it. And I'm even seeing young kids who were born in the US. They're asking questions about Kenya. So how can we get connected in a meaningful way?
Kenyans in the diaspora are the most tribal, because I'm one of the diasporans. You get Luyas sitting as a caucus group, Kikuyus sitting as a caucus group.
True.
And also Luos sitting as a caucus group. And that is in the diaspora. Unless they disconnect themselves from that mindset,
yes,
then they will be, the diaspora is meaningless. You'll find out, like now, I was called to go to Minnesota. And the group that called me is the Kisii group. Thank God for the Kisii community. Wherever you are, may God bless you. In Minnesota, we have Kenyan Luyas from Western Kenya. Mm-hmm. Only one came.
Wow.
Dr. Moto is the only one who came. But if somebody else came in with the goodies, like what somebody was telling me, that ukitaka kutuona, lazima unue pombe, na unue nyama choma. This is a Kenyan in the diaspora, whose mindset ought to be different.
Because they can't afford to buy their own nyama
But
choma.
usually, isn't it that
own...
the guy who's coming is invited to...
and we the guys were supposed to give you nyama
Yeah, because,
choma,
yes.
we're
But
inviting
we
you.
are hosting you.
Exactly,
So
exactly
we
my
should
point.
Be... okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so Kenyans in the diaspora, most of the groups, and I thank my Kisii people, want me to host them in their own place to change the little money I've come with. And of course, I'm not working for anybody. To have the little change I have, convert it into $1, buy them booze, which I don't even drink, and I'm not saying drinking is bad, and then choma nyama na kugossip. Some Kenyans gossip here. I live here. I live in the UK. And I know what I'm talking about. Unless they come out from that retrogressive mindset, we are not going to change. Well, and others, when they come to Kenya today, instead of buying A, B, and B, we are there to advise them to invest properly. Unakuja kwenda kulala hoteli na A, B, and B, and nini. Unasema ushago, kuna hii watoto wangu. Come on, let's do the Nigerian way. Nigerians have shown us the way. Why can't we? So that we can really build a beautiful country. Kenya is the only country that have climates whereby you can move from one climate to another one for only 30 minutes. We have 7 climates. We are blessed.
Yeah.
We are blessed academically. We excel in everything that we do. But for me, like I lived in D.C. here, and I didn't want to come. If it was not this meeting, I was not going to come here.
Wow.
Because of what I went through in D.C. And you witnessed that. Whatever, how they abused me, how they used to call me names, and I said, well, hallelujah. But I've come because of you. Otherwise, I always take my plane from Arizona, the West Coast. I pass here going to. But now, because you have welcomed me, I would like to meet my brothers and sisters so that we can dialogue and build a future for our country.
Correct.
I need your support. Without you, I cannot move. And the only person who can change Kenya, the only people who can change Kenya today are 2 mindsets. Gen Z mindset for the physical approach, and the Kenyan diaspora for the mental approach, the software approach.
Wow.
Hardware and software. We combine those two. All these people you see running on tribal outfits. Sijui Wakamba tuko wangapi, Okay, all this that will be the past, and also we shall one day amend the constitution and have universal suffrage system so that the minorities also can have a chance to rule.
Correct. Yes.
Now, like I feel like I somewhat feel like you've been, like in my mind, we've been talking about these things for a very long time. One thing I appreciate about this platform of ours, and not saying we are the greatest or anything, but we're one of the few diaspora platforms that you will find where it's a diverse place. There's different kinds of people, and we have there's no affiliation, and like sometimes when we say this, people feel like, oh, you guys are attacking our community, us guys are coming together as a community. What I tell people in the US, as Kenyans, we are very few. When we look at the grander project of the US, we are very few. When we start separating ourselves as, like you're this and you're that, then we are not going to go anywhere. That's the reason why you see these West Africans, especially, we are proud of Hulda in Minnesota.
Yeah.
At least we have a Kenyan, represented in a state government.
Right.
Like you normally
In
have
fact, there are two.
Yeah. Oh, there are two?
There's one in Wisconsin.
Oh, there's another one in Wisconsin.
A
Yes.
great man, a great
Yes,
man.
there's another one in Wisconsin who
He
we've said
called
we'll
in,
try
right?
to get.
Did he call in?
No, I think either commented, but that's one person that we also want to interview.
Yeah.
But we don't have as many. You have a lot of West Africans. You have Nigerians.
Yeah, West Africans.
Because they come together. Like they may have their own
And they
issues.
already have the system. They know and they share
Yes.
that information, and they're sitting on the boards. They work like in the state legislative offices. They know when there are positions that are available.
Yeah.
They throw them in there within their own society. They join coalitions. Like, I'm still on the commission of
Yes.
Nani. The PG.
Yeah.
Now, what is she called? The head of the PG
Ye-
community. It switched now.
Yeah. The one problem with Kenyans, especially, like when it comes to how we are organized here, and especially when it comes to, I'm not a Christian myself, but I'm gonna say when it comes to Christian worship, the Kenyan churches are divided by
Tribe.
tribe.
Say it again.
Yeah, they're divided by tribe. And I think when you look at a lot of younger Kenyans, and not even younger Kenyans my age, a lot of them are shying away from those churches because they are not mentally
The
in that mindset.
segmentation.
I don't think
Is not-
it is more tribe. I think it's more personality.
What?
But
Because in Kenya, in Bolti,
Yes.
in Baltimore,
Okay.
it's more or less who.
Can we mention the major churches that are here?
Go ahead.
There's Tumaini, for example. It's very easy to know who
I
Tumaini
don't know.
belongs to.
I don't know.
Well,
Tumaini is in Rockville.
Tumaini is a Kalenjin. It's in PG County.
Oh no. I don't know.
Yes, but yeah. Ask people who go to church. And they'll tell you, like these churches are, like for for me, I'm speaking very respectfully because I'm speaking from the outside.
Right.
We get shocked first of all when we see places of worship separated by nationality. Even as Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania, and then now Kenya has gone to another level, whereby some of these places of worship are divided by tribe, and then also when you look at when politicians come in, forget about church. When politicians come in, like we've attended all these town halls. Like when you go to Matiangi's town hall, it's very easy to tell who the majority is in the crowd. When you go to Rigath's town hall, it's very easy to tell who's the majority in the crowd. And this is the problem that we are trying to solve. The one town hall that was diverse was one that we took part in the organization of.
And amazing.
Yes, that was Baba's.
Amazing.
Baba's town hall. That was one of the few. That's one of the few town halls in the diaspora.
Amazing.
There used to be where you would see all different kinds of people. But again, this is something that we need to cure.
Including our who are outsiders from other parties.
Yes,
They were all there.
they were all there.
And nobody was separating them or asking them. You don't ask a question. They were there.
Yes, there's someone who's asking a question. Who's your running mate?
I don't have a running mate, and that's a non-issue at the moment.
Okay, it's a non-issue at the moment. Okay, all right. And then Ann Karaoke is saying, I'm very proud to say I'm one of those who is not tribal, Karibu Wajackoyah. And then Drew Kimani says, wouldn't it be right if every land sale in Kenya was done before a court of law so no one can grab, forge, or steal? If you become president, would you make that law 100%? Prof.
As I said before, I will introduce the death penalty on every issue on corruption.
Yeah.
And if possible, we shall hang them people upside down in Uhuru Park.
I thought he was going to say a quick trailer and then they're dragged. But it may sound extreme coming from Wajackoyah, but I have had a belief in my mind, and I've said it out loudly, and I don't know if I've told you guys or shared before, where I'm like, let all the parliamentarians go into parliament, and then somebody else drops a bomb. Then we reset again.
Imagine.
And maybe that's an extreme nini, but
imagine one individual steals money that could treat 400 patients, and these 400 patients die because this man has stolen their money. You take this man to court in Kenya, he's given bail, and the case drags on
for 200 years
until the person is set
It's
through.
normally 4 years. It's between 3 to 4.
Yeah. So why can't we have a tribunal of choice that consists of the Boda Boda, Mamamboga, military, National Youth Service, madmen, pregnant women, widows, to sit down and listen to the case and make a viable decision, which can be appealable. And then when you are found guilty, you choose how to die, either by hanging, by bullet, by injection.
Ali, choose one. Yeah. 6 million ways to die.
Pick your poison.
Choose
then
one.
You are given, if you want to eat, they can choma for you, kuku. You eat well to say bye-bye. Because if a pedophile is arraigned and killed by a lethal or stinging electric chair here, and us, we are so much into human rights. Somebody has raped a woman and killed that woman, has raped a child and killed that child. And that's why Winnie Odinga agrees with me on this one. You take that person to court unless he's insane. And then is given bail, and he comes in suit to start mocking the victim's family. Do away with that man. Let him go to court, that tribunal. If he's found guilty, let him be hanged upside down. If you hang a few of them, then there will be zero corruption like the greater Somaliland, where you can leave your money outside.
Yes.
Those guys do your business and come back and find it.
They go and they pray and they leave the cash over there.
Yeah.
And there's nobody manning the ninis. I'm like, wow, where?
Yes.
How are these guys doing this?
Prof reminds me of Bonyo's Bone last week. We were talking about, there was a certain MP who was trying to put out I don't know what they're called legislatively, where he's trying to ban social media influencers from
That was the MP for, that's Pasaris.
No, not Pasaris. There was another one. This was recent. I'm gonna look for it, but because he just brought it up, so he was going against TikTokers and using light instruments and whatever. So he's actually going against them, and he was talking about there should be laws to prevent people like that from just spewing stuff. So Bonyo was like, if you're so much against people who are doing bad things, he actually said we should actually take up China and what China does
as an example
in terms of, if you're doing dissent, you're going against the government or whatever. So Bonyo was like, how about you take China's position on corrupt people?
Yes.
Where they maliza you by 12.
Yes.
I'm gonna look for that name. And
12 is too late. It should be like a loose 8 a.m.
Yeah. Now, Prof, as we come to a close, because time do you up Amanda. If because we're talking about hanging people, how you choose to die. If just for example, it's let's picture it's May 2027, and the deadline for submitting your paperwork to vie for presidency is looming, and there's a gun on your head, and you have to make a choice of either being taken out or to select whose running mate you'll become. And those are the only options you have.
Ni bunduki, how you acquiesce.
It's either bunduki or you have to be someone's running mate.
Amanyoka.
Yeah.
You agree.
And there's only one choice you have.
Did you read Socrates the Great?
No, I haven't read it.
Go and read him and see how he chose to die.
How did he choose to die? Tell us.
You can Google how Socrates.
How Socrates
but
died.
But now, are you gonna choose to die as Socrates or
death?
How many times have I died and come?
He'll choose
I'm a spirit.
death.
Okay.
I'm like Raila's spirit.
So
If anything,
yeah.
I'm Raila incarnated.
But sasa kama ni moja tu, like
because
you just have
I've
to
been
pick
shot
one.
as we sit here. I have a bullet lodged into my system here. I've been in detention. I've seen death many times. What does death do to one? It only destroys the body, but the spirit goes into something else. I don't really fear death. That's why I tell people on the open, notoriously, publicly. I told Ruto the other day in George, the bodyguard of Raila's burial. I told Ruto, look, these kids from Butere and kids in the country, they hate you. And I repeated, and you're sitting there. Raila was sitting there. You can even run that video. And I told Ruto also to tame somebody known as Farouk.
Yes,
because Kenya
I
is
heard
bigger.
that. Farouk Kibet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I also told Ruto
that
this country is greater and bigger than you. My friend, who is afraid to die? There are only two people that I know who are in front of me who are not afraid. One has just gone peacefully. Raila Amolo Odinga, Koigi Amwere, and myself.
Wow. Now, back to Socrates.
Hold
you
on.
said...
Socrates died in 399 BCE after being sentenced to death by an Athenian court, and he died by drinking poison hemlock, a toxic plant extract, as a form of forced suicide. He was convicted of impiety and corrupting the youth of Athens, and chose to die by drinking the poison rather than fleeing, using his death as a final philosophical lesson
That's
for his
Socrates.
followers.
Okay.
Hey!
All right.
Which means hiyo bunduki ndio inakaa itakuwa...
What is bunduki?
Ndio inakaa itakuwa last right.
Which means also... Oh, sorry. You're saying?
If Jesus died for our sins,
correct,
who am I not to die? If Sankara was killed and he stood up and he said, you can shoot, I'm here. Who am I? Do I fear anybody in that country? I am there and I'm going back tomorrow, my friend. And I'm arriving there in midnight on Sunday. So whoever wants me can meet me at the airport and do what he wants.
Wahenga
Wahenga ulinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kuwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. We are about to wrap this puppy up. Mikaoch, I think he's
Mikaoch is gone. Did you mosh fire?
Fire that is a moshka there.
Wow. You know what is interesting is we can keep going at this rate, because you know when Prof came in, he was a little bit kidogo down. Sijui amechangamka.
That's how it happened. I have that, and Raila is the only one who knew my spirit. And that's why when I went to his grave, I think I came back with it. It's no longer there. I have a spirit when I go somewhere, when I'm very dull, it just comes automatically.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna last. You didn't think you were gonna last, but I knew you were gonna last. Naona sasa uko na energy nikao nataka
we can go another hour.
Pana. Yeah. No. Kwanza unajua
another 5 hours.
Do you know that we have some people who are gonna come back and with us?
Oh, sorry.
With that said, we thank you so much, my good friend who I've not seen in a lot of years. Yes, I said friend because he and I go way back. Don't ask questions. Tulikuwa Panam. But
pre-Panam.
Wewe. Cheza chini.
Wewe ulikuja na yeye alikuja na airlift. Wewe ulikuja?
Wewe.
Sorry.
I thank you so much for making time, for changing your schedule, for being available, for being I was going to say a spot, but also for opening up to us in a way that we haven't heard you speak before, and letting us in to some of those dark cubicles that people never knew. And I think at the end of this, I know I've left here much more informed, much better informed, And I can even speak for Ali. It looks like at this point, Ali, because Ali was scribbling at who shall I vote for. I think he's already picked a chap, but I'm not saying it loudly. I think Ali has already picked because he was looking at the choices. And somewhere over there, I think he saw a loose Socrates, then nini. I think maybe that part of kuwa watu ndio Ali anaona kuna kaitilafu.
Because hanging down.
Yes, but I think he thinks he may be able to convince the guy that hatutawaua ni hivi. But with that said, we thank you so much. And please, next time you're coming, make DC a point you pass through, and you are always welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we are here, and tuko pamoja. So thank you very, very much. And to our audience, man, I don't even know what to say. Today has been one of those shows we've had people from all over. Tumepata brown envelopes, asanteni. Thanks for all the engagement, YouTube, Facebook, and those who've called in. I think, and people seem to be shy to call in. It's okay. And I've had some people say they don't have a phone voice.
We are used to this, bro.
Thank you. And see you guys next week. And remember, we're going to continue to give you guys this great content because you're the people who make us continue to do this. And as the diaspora. And please also reach out to us and let us know what it is that you want to hear and see from us. Back to you, studio.
All right. Asante sana, DJ Omosh Fire. Prof. Wajackoyah, we want to thank you so much. This is one of those episodes we knew it's going to be an amazing episode, but we did not know what to expect. So our responsibility here, first of all, we want to thank Hulda Momanyi, Minneapolis State Representative. We love you so much. We appreciate you. She's one of the people who made this interview possible. So we really appreciate you for that. And we, we worked really hard to make sure that the picture that people had in mind before the show, they're gonna come out with a very different picture, and that's including us who are sitting here on set, directly interacting with you. We have a better understanding and a better grasp of some of the ideas which are by most standards very extreme, but extreme times sometimes call for extreme measures, because Kenyans have been suffering, Kenyans have been crying, Kenyans have been dying, unfairly. So we're at a point where something has to give. God has given us multiple chances. So I think it's about time, Kenyans make the right choice, because if you're in one of those situations where you made a bad choice, you've made a bad choice 2, 3, 4 times, you really need to sit and just reflect, contemplate, pray, and make sure and be honest with yourself. Forget about this thing of herding with your fellow tribesmen and tribeswomen. That it has worked for very few Kenyans. It has not worked for the majority. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell that this is completely not going to work. I want to thank all those who are tuned in. Good years. There's Good Year, and then there's someone else also who contributed, I'm forgetting the name. We don't know even there's that option of, Kutoa Sadaka, on YouTube. That's something that we're learning today. So anyone who's there and feels...
We're going to work it in there.
Yes, so we appreciate to the ones who did it. We make sure that what we try to do here at the People's Kamkunji is to broaden your nexus. Broaden your nexus of information. Broaden your nexus of information so that when you're making a decision, you're making an informed decision. You have all the information from here, from there, and from up, from down, from left, right, from north, south, from east, west. And we really appreciate you. Na kwa wale wote ambao bado wanataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni...
Hold on.
Yeah.
Parting shot.
Let's get the parting shot first.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Before you say that, just a special greeting from Newton Ogada. Yes, he said, Prof, thank you, and receive greetings from Newton Ogada. So they've been very engaged. So Go ahead.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, wherever they are, and before I go on, let me take this opportunity of thanking Newton Ogada. Newton Ogada was one of the ODM aspirants in Kaspuru.
Okay.
Yes, and he's a great friend of mine. He comes here from time to time, and is such a wonderful man. He's done a lot in Nyanza, and I would really request that you interview him.
Akuje.
He's
He's
an
welcome.
entrepreneur he built 3 hospitals,
Okay.
and he's built a big school in Kasipul. And he's a man who also has walked long distance too. So may I take this opportunity to congratulate and to thank the Minnesota representative, Hulda Mumanyi. May I also take this opportunity of thanking our brother who is in Wisconsin State Assembly. Thank all the Kenyans in Minnesota, especially Bradley, John Mumanyi, Professor Joel. Thank those who are in studio today. Thank the great American people for making our movement viable. Thank Tindu Lisu for the courage he has and the special envoy he sent to me yesterday. And may I also tell the Kenyan people that time has come for change. Time has come to say no. Time has come to say no to tribalist-minded fellows. Time has come to recognize the Gen Zs. Time has come to make the Gen Zs work. I'm appealing to Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, that give a chance to the young people. Let us not just have lip service. As much as I might respect you, though we differ in principle, you are still my president, and I will have to address you as such. I will not abuse you. I will not abuse Gachagua. I will not abuse any other leader. Let Kenyans decide. Let us have free and fair elections. And let Kenyans in the diaspora, if they are so wish, come back home and run on any party of their choice, including mine. Let every Kenyan know that it's imperative for them to take ID cards and voter registration. And let them do research. And as I conclude, let them not vote for me, but let them find out who I am. And if they decide to vote for me, fine. If they decide to vote for somebody else, I will support their decision. Thank you very much.
All right. Once again, asante sana Prof. This was an amazing episode. Kwa wale wote ambao bado wanataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Na operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until next week, be blessed.